And looking forward to it. It should be a dandy. The last time we were here at this little window setting in a classroom at Lee High School with the backyard right behind us, which is the football field. Lee and Columbia played. It was an overtime game that Lee won. We called it on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690, and we will have that game once again. It's a rematch here in round 2 of the postseason, and we'll have one of the best games we've had all year once again tonight. That kicks at 7 o'clock in the Florida High School State Athletic Association playoffs. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. Some high school football, take you around the area. But it's kind of interesting, and this has no reference to here at Lee High School, but this place is called the Backyard. And last night the NFL turned into a little bit of a backyard brawl in a way, and that was ugly for the NFL. It's the big story. Usually we like local, we go local, we say, hey, NFL, in terms of the Jags, and we'll talk all about the Jags. We'll actually have plenty of guests on today and dissect what the Jags are going to do. But the big story in the sports world less than 24 hours ago is what happened on that field in Cleveland, Ohio, and it was an ugly day for the NFL. It was ugly for Cleveland Browns. It was specifically ugly for Myles Garrett and everybody else involved. And by now, everybody has a take on this, and sometimes we overthink because everybody has their sides, and we try to dissect it from a different side and try not to all say the same thing. That's what happens, and we're guilty of it. Listen, we do talk radio. Sometimes you try to come from a different wavelength and spark debate and talk about it from a different way, and that's okay. There's really not too many ways to talk about this one if we're being honest. If you really look at yourself in the mirror and say, all right, what's the end story here? And while we would like to debate it, and I think there will be plenty of folks that want to talk about the nuances of what happened last night, I think it's easiest to say two things that might eliminate some debate. And that is, one, the NFL got it right. The NFL suspended Myles Garrett indefinitely. They acted pretty quickly by noontime today. They gave Maurkice Pouncey a 3-game suspension. They have not done anything with Rudolph just yet, Mason Rudolph, the quarterback, but that could happen at some point because pending fines, and he could still be punished. Now, the team's got a $250,000 fine, and that is what it is, right? I mean, I said earlier, it's like telling me I can't go buy a Diet Coke or a coffee today. That's really the impact in an NFL franchise of a $250,000 fine. But at least they did something, and they wanted to act and try to do whatever they could in that regard. So Maurkice Pouncey, 3 games and fined. Larry Ogunjobi suspended 1 game. And I did not go as crazy about his role in this thing as everybody else, and we can certainly talk about it and dissect it, but I really thought it was about Myles Garrett at the end of the day, the indefinite suspension, not just for the regular season, but into the playoffs, and Maurkice Pouncey, who we will get into his role in this, but still should be suspended. I think the NFL got it right with those 2 guys especially. We can talk a little bit more about Mason Rudolph's role eventually, the fines that could come, why not suspension for him. But those 2 guys that were really critical in that ugly scene last night in Cleveland, Myles Garrett suspended without pay indefinitely. The rest of the season into the playoffs, Maurkice Pouncey suspended 3 games and fined. At least those 2 guys, I think, got what they deserved in this kind of role. So that's part one. The NFL, in my opinion, got it right. The longevity of those fines, how long in suspensions, how long it will last, certainly we can debate. But I think they got it right. Part two here is something I said to my little guy today. And I said, let's do this, okay? We can talk about Mason Rudolph being at the bottom of that pile, grabbing a face mask. We can talk about trying to rip it off. We can see what else was happening there. Did he get kicked in the groin? Did he get kicked in the you-know-what? Was there a little tussle going on like happens a lot in the NFL? Absolutely. Did he go back at Myles Garrett after all his helmet was ripped off? Absolutely. But let's just simplify this. If Myles Garrett did not take the helmet of Mason Rudolph and swing it at Mason Rudolph's head, I don't think anybody would have even been ejected from that football game, and we would hardly be talking about it. We'd talk about a skirmish that got a little heated in a rivalry, and that was it. Simple as that. Put yourself there for a moment, and don't just say, "Brent, are you kidding me? No way. That was a beef. That was going to be a big." Stop the car for a second. And think about what we witness in the NFL. Think about how violent the game is in the NFL. Think about how emotions get the best of people in the NFL sometimes. And this is also a rivalry on top of that, and I won't even really bring that as much into it because I don't think it excuses anything. But I think if you have a tussle and guys getting into it a little bit, we see that on Sundays. Do we absolutely see a quarterback rip off a guy's face mask or try to a helmet? No. But we see these kind of tussles that don't really escalate, a little pushing and shoving, everybody breaks it up. We never see, or have hardly ever seen, a guy take a helmet and swing it at an opposing player who doesn't have a helmet on. And not only swing, but connect. Stop right there. That's it. That's what this story is all about. I don't even think, and I'll reiterate what I just said, that they would have ejected either player or any player if it was just a skirmish and did not have the violent nature of that swinging helmet involved. That's it. So we have two different things. Myles Garrett did a heinous act on the football field that we've hardly ever seen, if ever have seen before, that got everybody's attention and still 24 hours later has people talking, and people will talk about it and put it in the history books for a long, long time to come. They'll show this forever. I likened it a little bit to the Juan Marichal moment way back in 1965. I wasn't even alive, but I've always heard about the Juan Marichal moment. And I covered Izzy Alcantara, some call it Alcantara, for the Pawtucket Red Sox when he actually kicked the catcher before going out to the mound in battling the pitcher after getting hit by a pitch. So that's where I put it in that scope, and probably countless other examples that might come to your mind too. We will forever see this play. It will live on forever, but we do that because of what Myles Garrett did. And you can give me the history of him. You can give me that he's usually a calm, cool guy, that he could have punched out a guy that was trying to steal his car or a month ago. All those things. It doesn't matter. In the moment, he lost his cool. He lost his wits about him. And he did something we've hardly ever seen, and you just can't do and can't allow. So I do applaud the NFL for coming down really swift and really hard on Myles Garrett, and we'll see where else this goes. But it's inexcusable, and you can create all these other dynamics of it, from Mason Rudolph calling him a bully and saying cowardly and maybe even starting it and igniting it and playing a part in it for sure. We can talk about it. We can debate it. If it bothers you, fine. Give us a call, star 690 904 362 9901. I'll talk about it all. But the bottom line is we don't even have ejections in that football game last night if Myles Garrett doesn't do what he did, because Garrett then prompts Maurkice Pouncey to do what he did, and he should be punished for it because he kicked a player while he was down in the head, and he's throwing punches. And yes, he's protecting his teammate, and that's admirable and fine inside the locker room, but it's still not allowed and shouldn't be okay. Somebody said, well, what if the catcher goes out and gets a player that's charging the mound with a bat in their hands? Well, go get the catch, go get that guy, and that's fine, and do whatever you want to do to him. But if you kick and punch him while you're on your way out there and protecting your pitcher, you should be suspended for a long time too, or at least some sort of suspension. So Maurkice Pouncey absolutely should have been suspended. He was suspended by the NFL, and he should also be praised by his teammates to some degree. I get that part of it. And Myles Garrett certainly should get a big-time suspension in this, and he did. So those are my two big thoughts after digesting and listening and talking to so many people and thinking about this thing all day. Here we are at 3 o'clock. The NFL got it right. And Myles Garrett threw flames on this thing that quite simply, if you just take that isolated incident and take it out of the equation, guys wouldn't even have been ejected in that football game. Think about that. Agree or disagree, you can always hit us up on Action Sports Shacks on ESPN 690 on all the social media platforms. We are live from Lee High School, so you can check us out on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Twitch. And, of course, you can call in star 690 904 362 9901. It is the prevailing story of the day. I thought it was a bad look for the NFL in general last night. Not just that, of course. We don't even know a football game took place, quite honestly, because of what's gone on with the Myles Garrett situation. But on top of that, I just thought it was a bad look in terms of player safety. If you go back in that game, some of the hits, and someone just said on social media, I think it was Robert Harper, and he said, well, there was only really the one big helmet-to-helmet hit coming across the field, and that player was ejected. So I don't necessarily think so. I think Juju Smith-Schuster, there were two helmet-to-helmet hits on the same play for Juju Smith-Schuster. So in a player safety world that the NFL is preaching, that was a bad look game for the NFL. Juju Smith-Schuster goes off the field concussed, and then it was Pittsburgh's other wide receiver that ended up having blood coming off his right ear, and he too looked absolutely concussed. It was a bad image. I was a little surprised they even showed it on Fox last night and took that tight of a camera shot because he looked dazed and confused, and they usually won't do that. So again, when we're talking player safety and we're talking integrity of the game at the end with Myles Garrett, this is a really bad Thursday night for the NFL. There's no other way around it. And a really bad night for the Cleveland Browns on a lot of different levels, even though they won the football game. And Myles Garrett, a win is what he said. And no, it's not. Sometimes a win is a loss. The Cleveland Browns lost a bunch in this football game, including arguably their best football player for the remainder of the season. Hey, jump in on the conversation. We'll hear many thoughts from everywhere else all around the sports world on this conversation because it's not going anywhere. And it's something that, well, you just don't see every day. Plus, we'll get back to the Jaguars and see how big of a game this is for the Jags against the Colts. I thought Najee Good and Calais Campbell last night on Jaguars All Access were awesome. They shed some light on Nick Foles in practice, what he brings to this football team, and how important this game is against the Colts. We'll hear from those guys. We have guest Andrew Catalan, who will call the game, will join us from Indianapolis. Matthew Driscoll from UNF is going to jump in. They had a big win last night. We'll do our picks. Austin Lane will check in from on the road as he's getting inducted into the Murray State Hall of Fame here this weekend. So much more to come on a Friday edition of Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. We're live at the backyard at Lee High School.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
The steady rain will diminish to drizzle and scattered showers as we go through the day today. Breezy and cool, highs only in the low 60s. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 Action News Jacks from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, where you can get 20% off store-wide, including loose diamonds with special financing. Only at Beard's Diamonds.
Honda of the Avenues is the Honda Giant with close to 700 new Hondas and quality pre-owned vehicles and award-winning service department. Jacksonville's car buyers have options and they want your car shopping experience to be fast, fun, and hassle-free. That's what you'll get on every visit, every time. Put Honda of the Avenues to the test and let them show you a fresh new approach to car shopping at Honda of the Avenues, online at HondaoftheAvenues.com. The Honda Giant.
Say hello to your new secret advertising weapon, your own branded mobile phone number. Star Mobile provisions vanity mobile numbers prefixed by Star, providing audiences an easy way to reach your business. Give it a try now by dialing Star Mobile from your mobile phone. That's Star Mobile.
When you owe IRS or state sales tax and can't pay, call J. David Tax Law for effective tax help. J. David Tax Law can stop IRS or state collection actions and protect you from financial ruin. Call J. David Tax Law for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777 or at jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or a phone call away.
What's up, Jacksonville? Angie here, president of Angie Staffing. If you're finding it harder and harder to find the right candidates or your ads are letting you down, call me, Angie Staffing, 904-703-8880. I have over 20 years of experience right here in Jacksonville. I can help with anything, accounting, finance, legal, even that one position that's impossible to fill. Angie Staffing, 904-703-8880. We're bringing back the hustle.
Hey, it's Mike Golick from Golick & Wingo. Thanks for making ESPN 690 the fastest growing sports station in Jacksonville. Clearly, it's because I'm on every morning from 6 till 10 a.m. But this isn't about me. It's about your business. Get your business noticed today. First Coast is making the switch to ESPN 690, and there's no better time to get on our team than right now. Call ESPN 690 today, 245-8732. That's 245-8732. Grow your business today on the new ESPN 690.
We're local, you're local, shop local. This holiday season, shop local retailers right here in the 904.
When you shop local retailers, you're making an investment in our own community.
Shop the 904.
Powered
Powered by Cox Media Group.
When the time comes to get your roof replaced, call Big Fish Roofing. We don't require any upfront deposits, and we are locally owned and operated by Jacksonville natives who have built their business on quality and integrity. At Big Fish Roofing, we know your roof is the first line of defense against the elements, so we make sure to deliver a quality project in a timely manner. You can find us at bigfishroofing.com or facebook.com/bigfishroofing, or give us a call at 904-685-8334.
See, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
How have binoculars and just the general discomfort that comes with using binoculars, how have we not improved that?
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Hey, it's Mike Golick from Golick Wingo. Well, I'm assuming you can hear this as long as Justin didn't pull a Coos move and mess up. You're listening to Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
3rd and 29. Rudolph throws a screen pass to the left to Edmonds. He runs up the field and gets out of bounds, but that is not a first down pickup, and it's far short of it.
We got a reaction.
We got flags.
Mason.
And the Steelers, we got a kick in the end zone by a Steeler. And I think a kick to the head.
He hit him with he tried to hit him with the helmet. And tried to hit Mason with the helmet.
Well, yeah.
Well, there is the call, I think, from WDVE-FM in Pittsburgh. That was the Pittsburgh side of the call last night. Myles Garrett loses his mind. Marquise Pouncey later admits that he blacked out during the play, too, just trying to protect his quarterback. A lot to digest here, and if you're just jumping in, I gave you 2 quick thoughts of mine that we can really simplify this thing. One, I don't even think players get ejected if Myles Garrett doesn't do that. I think there were probably penalties and pushing and shoving, but if Myles Garrett does not swing that helmet, even if he's still holding the helmet, I don't think we have ejections. And number 2, I think the NFL acted swiftly and appropriately. The guys they suspended should be suspended. We can debate if Mason Rudolph should be suspended. I think he still could be fined on this thing, and those things are still pending. But so far, I think they acted pretty quickly with more to come potentially. Let's go to Murray State, Kentucky right now, because that's where we find Austin Lane. And I just teased this segment with the man that got in more fights in practice in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Will now jump in on this conversation because I heard so many times last night, Austin, that players have seen this kind of action before in practice, never a game. There were flying helmets in practices a lot. Did that ever happen with you? And I'm not saying you did it. I knew you and Evan Britton got into it a bunch. But did we really see flying helmets and swinging helmets in practices in the NFL?
You absolutely do, Brennan. And then first of all, I appreciate the accolade of probably having the most fights ever by the Jaguars, like you so eloquently put it. And I'm sure if there's going to be a Jaguars Ring of Honor for fighting, I hope I'll be a first ballot guy. But with that being said, the players that have come out and said, yes, it happens at practice all the time, they're absolutely right, and I'll be the first one to admit it. There's been a couple of times where I've been in some scuffles during practice. My helmet may have came off, and I may have used my helmet. Now, it was never my intention to try to personally injure somebody, but when you get caught in the moment like that, especially when you play in the trenches, especially when it's a very violent atmosphere in the trenches, and this is back in 2010, 2011, and I get it, the game's probably calmed down a little bit, but those instances still happen. So I have seen it in practice. I've taken part in it myself, and I'll be honest with you, man, it sucks right now being in Murray, Kentucky, because the one day that I wanted to come in the studio and go on a rant, obviously I'm not in there, but this was definitely an unprecedented move here by Myles Garrett, to say the least.
Hey, Austin Lane joining us from Murray, Kentucky, because he's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame at Murray State this weekend. Congratulations on that honor. That's happening tonight, full weekend ahead, and that's awesome stuff. And we'll mention that again in just a moment. But, hey, this is your time, man. I know you have a bunch of activities, so you can't join me throughout the rest of the show or maybe even a little bit later, most likely. Yeah. Well, go on the rant. I mean, what did you make of it? And then I'll follow up with some thoughts because I gave my thoughts in the first segment of the show, and I think a lot of this is crystal clear. But then there are other things, ancillary things about this that certainly come up for debate. So go ahead. The mic is yours.
Oh, I appreciate it. Listen, obviously I was watching that game live, and I saw it happen. And I think the biggest thing on Twitter, well, first of all, let's start with the beginning. The biggest thing that happened was Myles Garrett took off his helmet and assaulted somebody. Okay, now I don't care about if it was a quarterback. I don't care about what the position is. He took off his helmet and tried to hurt somebody. And you cannot do that. That's the most unprecedented thing. I think if he doesn't do that, Brent, we're not having this conversation right now. And that's the honest to God take, because we haven't really seen this before. Yeah, there was the incident a couple years ago with Richie Incognito when he played the Texans and the lineman tried to swing at him with his helmet, but he missed.
Yeah, Antonio Smith, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But we saw Myles Garrett use a weapon, use the helmet as a weapon, and make contact. So this is kind of uncharted waters, to say the least. And now it seems to be the trend on Twitter, like it always is when a big incident like this happens. It's the fact that who's to blame here? Who's responsible? Because the first thing people want to do is take sides. People want to say, oh, well, Mason Rudolph maybe had it coming. He instigated it. No, it was Myles Garrett that instigated it. When I go back and watch that play, the first thing that I look for in a fight, and this is whether it's in a street, if it's in a, whatever kind of fight takes place, I always look at one thing. And I go, who got basically their manhood tested first? And I know it's kind of like a black and white way of saying it, but it's the truth, because this is football and this is a physical game. And people want to say that Rudolph kind of had it coming because supposedly he tried to kick Myles Garrett in the groin or something like that, or punch Myles Garrett in the groin. To me, the fight took place, and any NFL player knows this. The fight took place when Myles Garrett tackled Mason Rudolph to the ground and stayed on top of him, because he knew dang well that ball was released. If you watch the replay, Mason Rudolph gets the ball out. Garrett should recognize that because he's right in front of him, and then Garrett drives him to the ground and puts his body weight on him, and it stays there. Now, as an NFL player, that would drive me absolutely insane to have someone's body weight on top of me. Not saying it hurts me or anything like that, because I've had many times where I've been in a pile and that's happened to me before. But I'm just talking about being a man, like just having your manhood challenged. The instant reaction is to do whatever is in your power to make it right, whether that's push somebody off. Now, I'm not advocating groin strikes, which I'm not sure if Mason Rudolph even did, but that's instinct. It's the same thing when if you're in training camp and someone pushes somebody after the whistle, like always happened to me and Evan Britton. As soon as Evan pushed me after the whistle, I took that as a sign of disrespect. Now, was that Evan saying, F you, Austin, I hate you? Absolutely not. Me and Evan are super cool. I'm just saying, when you're in the heat of the moment and you feel disrespected, you're going to do things that might be out of your comfort zone. And for Mason Rudolph to do that, to try to, I guess, retaliate after Myles Garrett was on top of him, that was out of Mason Rudolph's comfort zone. At least I think it was. I don't know Mason Rudolph personally. All I know is that he's a quarterback, and quarterbacks don't really go after guys unless, they're agitated. And obviously Mason Rudolph was agitated. So from the standpoint of whose fault is this, if you really want to point that finger and play that card, I think this is Myles Garrett's fault 110%, because he didn't have to drive him to the ground. He didn't have to add the little extra at the end, and then Mason Rudolph retaliated. So then what happens when Mason Rudolph goes after Myles Garrett? Then Myles Garrett takes the helmet and swings on him. And that's the biggest thing, obviously. And I think the NFL got it right. I think the suspension warrants that. At the same time, now there's reports coming out saying Mason Rudolph and his agent may seek, a lawyer and try to, get some money out of this. I 110% disagree with that, because while Mason Rudolph may have got challenged, you have to understand that if someone puts their body weight on you and your manhood is questioned, and you attack that person back, you have to understand the consequences, whether it's on a football field. And I get it. It's an organized activity and there's refs and everything, but take the game out of it. This is just manhood being challenged right now. And if someone challenges your manhood, you stand up to somebody, and I'll tell my son this when he's older. I'm like, if someone's stepping to you, you can retaliate. But I'm just saying, if you retaliate, you have to accept the consequences. And for Rudolph, he shouldn't have got the helmet thrown at him. But for him to go out and now try to sue possibly, to me, that's completely over the line. And then let's get to the end of this whole thing. So Myles Garrett throws the helmet. And the biggest debate that I got into, and I got into a little bit on Twitter with somebody, and I'm waiting for their response to kind of went into hiding. But people want to give Marquise Pouncey kind of like a lot of crap for what happened as well. Because Myles Garrett throws the helmet at I keep calling Kyle, Mason Rudolph, and then here comes Pouncey. And Pouncey was even said, he just saw red and just went at him. Now, I get it. From the casual observer, maybe someone that hasn't been in a lot of NFL huddles or even football huddles in general, when you see someone throw punches on someone that's down, or when you see someone stomp on someone's head, that's probably not the best look. But to me, Marquise Pouncey was absolutely warranted. And that's the type of teammate that I want. And it's funny because, and I'm not going to call anybody out here, but there's been some guys on Twitter too, and some of my former teammates that actually disagree with me and what I think about Pouncey. Some people thought that the whole behavior by Pouncey was unwarranted, hitting a guy while he's down, trying to get some cheap shots in. As far as I'm concerned, and the same thing can be said about hockey, there's two things you don't do. You don't let your quarterback and you don't let your goalie get touched. And if that happens, there is no rules, and that's why there's so many fights in hockey, and that's why I think Pouncey reacted like he did. And I understand that, I'm kind of bringing the whole warfare element to this whole conversation. But once again, this is the trenches. And I think Pouncey thought, my quarterback got touched, and I'm going after the guy. And I don't care the retaliation. I don't care what happens to me. If I get suspended, he was in the moment. And from that being said, should he have been suspended? Probably, because you can't step on people. But I don't blame Pouncey for what he did.
Austin Lane joining us from Murray, Kentucky. He will be inducted into the Hall of Fame at Murray State a little bit later on tonight, and stopping to chat with us about this whole Myles Garrett situation. And I want to tell you, Austin, I said that in the first segment too. I have no problem with people feeling the way you do about Marquise Pouncey. The only thing I will say is last night I said this, and I believe it, and I think the NFL did the right thing. He still earned himself a suspension by doing that. That's an admirable thing in the locker room. That's okay. I think people put their arms around something like that, but you still should be suspended because you can't kick and punch people in the head and just in general in the NFL as a retaliation, because if that was allowed, then it would be no holds barred every time a quarterback went down or something else happens like this. So the NFL responded appropriately. I think even in his postgame, you could sense that Pouncey knew it was coming, but he said, I don't care. I had to do this. Yeah. And so I respect that part of it. I respect it in any sport if you're trying to protect your teammate. But when you cross the line of even protection, you deserve suspension. And so I think everything was handled appropriately by the NFL.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you there, Brent. It's like I was saying. As far as him getting suspended, I have no problem with that because it's like you said. I mean, he threw the kicks, he threw the punches, and he has to accept the consequences. At the same time, if I'm in that offensive line room or if I'm even on that Pittsburgh Steelers team, and, it's a very proud team, a lot of tradition, and I see a quarterback, get physically assaulted, and I don't see the retaliation from any of my players, especially the offensive linemen. If I'm one of the teammates on the Steelers and I see that and I see Pouncey just kind of go he's fine, I would suspend Pouncey myself if I could then because he didn't go after Garrett. And that's being truthful, where it's just like there's some unwritten rules, and I think Myles Garrett obviously, went above and beyond an unwritten rule, and Pouncey tried to make it right. And I think the discussion had to be had as well as if, Mason Rudolph deserves to be suspended as well.
And what do you think? Because I want to ask you that. What do you think about Mason Rudolph? Should he be suspended? He'll be fined, I believe. But I don't know that, but I think he will be because they're still pending. Yeah. But should he be suspended for his role?
Yeah, so here's the thing, Brent. And once again, it goes back to who started it and all this stuff. And we don't know what Mason Rudolph said yet. Apparently, Mason Rudolph said something bad. Now, I don't know what he said. I assume it wasn't anything racially charged just because he plays with black teammates on his team. So I couldn't imagine him saying something of that racial nature. So I think that's out of the question. If it is, maybe that deserves conversation. But I don't think there's really anything that Rudolph would have said that warrants the suspension. Because from what I've seen, from what he did, and whether he's trying to go for the groin strike or not, I don't know. It's hard to call it, but possibly maybe one game at the very most. Like I said, I haven't seen every single camera angle, so it's hard for me to call on it. But I'm just saying, if you're Mason Rudolph and you feel disrespected and you do something about it, it's like I said, you have to accept the consequences. Now, you have no right to get hit with a football helmet in your face. I understand that. But that's the result of it. So if it comes down to, you know what, if they can blatantly prove that Rudolph was going after the groin of Myles Garrett, which I haven't seen yet, but if they can somehow prove that, then absolutely. Then he should be suspended at least one game. But if they can't prove it, once again, this is like the instant replay. This is like calling into New York and everything. And if they can't prove it, then I think Mason Rudolph is good.
Yeah, I here's what I would do, and I don't know that, but his involvement is significant enough to me where if I was the NFL, I'd suspend him a game. And does that put blame on him? I don't know, but it doesn't matter sometimes, you know. He was part of the escalation. And I don't think he was the main contributor in this in terms of the wrong, because Myles Garrett trumps everything. Again, you can throw everything you want at me, and it doesn't matter. I still go back to saying I don't think there were any ejections in this football game if Myles Garrett doesn't swing the helmet. Now, aside from the helmet-to-helmet earlier in the game, I'm talking about this scuffle. If he doesn't swing the helmet, then we don't even get to ejections, in my opinion, Austin. I might be wrong about that, but I don't believe we would have. So I don't mind them suspending Mason Rudolph. In fact, if I was a little bit of CYA on the NFL, I'd probably cover my own butt here and maybe do that, you know, and say, you know what, he had a significant enough role, and we're going to suspend him for a game. And versus what we just suspended Myles Garrett, it's nothing. So I wouldn't have a problem with that. Ogunjobi there, I did not have as much of an issue with him pushing Rudolph down as some people have had. Did you have an issue with that part of it?
No, the only issue I had a part of that is the fact that when he pushed Rudolph down is the fact that the retaliation wasn't really there from the Steelers. That was honestly my only call. Because
I think their attention was so much on Garrett.
Well, exactly. But once again, Brett, like, I don't care. As soon as you step to somebody, I don't care if you're a punter, a kicker, a quarterback, or a defensive lineman. As soon as you make the obligation, you'll step to somebody, you know, and try to, you know, cause a fight. I don't care what you are. And I'm just treating Mason Rudolph just like he's like another defensive lineman, you know. And the fact that he got pushed down, I'm sorry to see that, but you shouldn't get special treatment just because you're a quarterback then when you go after somebody. So from that perspective, I had no problem with it. I think he got suspended a game, if I'm not mistaken, for pushing him down, which, I mean, I'd probably appeal that if I was him, and we'll see what happens. But I honestly have zero problem with that.
All right, one last one for you here, and then we'll let you go. But
sure.
How does this play in the Cleveland locker room? Because I actually thought I had no problem with Baker Mayfield, Freddie Kitchens, and really everybody in that locker room. And while they weren't trying to lambaste Myles Garrett, they certainly said, you know what, this can't be tolerated. Now, some people talk and how that it was embarrassing, and we're trying to rescue our season, and this throws it off, and now we lose our best player, and we know he's going to get suspended. They said to me, they said all the right things. Now, much like you said about Pouncey protecting his quarterback, there are people that believe the unwritten rule is don't throw your teammates under the bus. I actually think in this case, they didn't necessarily throw him under the bus. They acknowledged what reality was. I didn't have an issue with it. But how could that play out in their locker room moving forward? Do you see any potential problems?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So a few things from that, Brent. First of all, Baker Mayfield, I thought, handled himself pretty well after the post game or whatever. I think he's on the field. I forgot who. I think it was Aaron Andrews was interviewing him. Yeah, and I thought what he had to say, you know, given what just happened and everything, and it was obviously a very emotional game. There's a lot of guys that got hurt. And I thought Baker Mayfield, for the most part, who's been a guy who's kind of come off as a brat a little bit, kind of entitled in some interviews, I thought he handled himself as best as he could. You know, and yes, there is an unwritten rule where you have to protect your teammates, usually at all costs. But for this point, Mayfield even said, you know, like what Myles Garrett did, there's no room on the field for that. And I think every teammate in that locker room, regardless of how close they are to Myles Garrett, would agree with Baker Mayfield. So I thought it was a great job by, you know, pretty much the captain, the general of his team, to kind of come forward and say, like, you know what, this is unacceptable. This isn't Cleveland Browns football. So I liked it from that standpoint. When we see these kind of things happen, the first thing we want to do, Brent, is we want to go to the coaching thing and in the front office. We want to say, what kind of culture is this? You know, should there be changes? Because that behavior on the field, while it falls on the players, that's a direct correlation of the front office and the culture there that Freddie Kitchens has implemented. Now, I don't know Myles Garrett personally. I actually know he's a pretty crazy cat in the fact that, you know, he loves to do poetry. He's into, like, archaeology and the interviews that you see of him, he seems like a pretty calm and reserved kind of dude.
Yeah, soft-spoken guy, yeah.
He's a very soft-spoken guy, so it's not a place for me right now to say, well, they need to fire Freddie Kitchens over this because he's lost the locker room. I really don't know because it's hard for me to sit here and say, Brent, because you know what? I've been on the practice field. I saw absolute red, didn't know what I was doing, and I've been thrown out of practices because of it. Now, I never did it in a game because I understood the last thing I wanted to do is hurt my team by, A, not being on the field, or B, just even getting a penalty because I knew I had the wrath of Joe Cullen waiting for me if that was to happen. But I'm not going to sit here and say, well, they need to get rid of Freddie Kitchens now because he's lost that culture. I think anybody on any team, regardless of how good the culture is, even if it's the Patriots, I think there's because there's a couple years ago there's a kind of a Patriots skirmish and a couple guys got ejected for I think a late hit. I forgot who it was. Forgive me, but I think any culture can be inducive to the fact that there can be fights, and maybe if it escalates enough, there can be a helmet being ripped off and thrown.
Yeah.
So as far as
because you guys are all a little bit crazy that play the game. That's why.
Exactly. We are a little crazy. So from that perspective, I have no problem with Freddie Kitchens. Now, he may be fired just for having a bad record and, having a kind of a bad team. But if you were to fire Kitchens, you can do it from that incident, I feel like.
Yeah, one last thought on that, and we got to let you go. And I just feel like, you know what? Let's call a spade. Myles Garrett did all this, okay? You can give me Freddie Kitchens. You can give me 18 penalties in the first game. You can tell me they're undisciplined. That's fine. Maybe they are, and they can deal with that stuff. This thing has nothing to do with that. This thing has nothing. This guy's a guy snapping on a football field when he shouldn't, and he doesn't know how to control himself. And whether that is not a reflection on coaching, in my opinion. That's a reflection on that guy. In today's society, we always try to find somebody to take the blame along with us. Well, there's one person that's accountable for this right now, and that's it. Because, again, you could throw punches, you could push and shove. We've seen that. And you know what? In our eyes, that's even okay now. But you can't do what he did. It's as simple as that. And if we go beyond that, we're missing the point. And we start blaming other people. And now, again, there are ancillary things to this, and there could be ramifications for a Freddie Kitchens and a Mason Rudolph and a Marquise Pond, all those things. But it goes back to this one central incident that none of this does happen, none of these conversations take place without. And that's a guy that flat out lost his mind for a couple of moments and did something you cannot do in professional sports, and especially in the NFL, and really on any ball field across America. And if you did it on some parks and public parks, you'd be arrested for it.
Absolutely. And just one other point I wanted to make quick, Brent, and it's funny because obviously I watched the game when we were driving here, and all that escalated and all that happened. And the biggest thing we're talking about is Myles Garrett. But my question to you is, and as crazy as this sounds, but I want to see if you can come along with me here a little bit. Did that incident with Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph last night, did that actually benefit the NFL in ways? Because the reason I say this, because before that incident happened, I saw a guy get concussed, walked off the field with his ears bleeding, and I saw other guys get hit as well. And I feel like if this Myles Garrett thing doesn't happen and the helmet doesn't get thrown at a quarterback, I feel like the story of today is the fact that concussions are real and prevalent, and maybe some things need to be done because we saw way too many guys get hurt last night and that are probably going to be suffering some long-term effects far down the line.
All right. You know what? I said that already, too. I thought it was a bad look for the NFL in totality. I said it on social media. I said it in general. This was a bad look. You've got guys walking off the field concussed and noticeably concussed, bleeding from their right ear. And that was the only thing that could have been even worse in this situation. If that crown of the helmet or part of that helmet bloodies up Mason Rudolph, the perception of that would even elevate this thing even worse than it already is, and it's already pretty bad enough. Hey, man, congratulations going into the Murray State Hall of Fame and Murray, Kentucky. I tried to say Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
Did you write your speech?
No, man. I think I'm just going to kind of wing it. I might write down a couple notes here eventually, but, I'm always the guy to kind of just go with the flow here. So maybe I'll even mention you here. We'll see what happens.
Oh, don't do that. Well, if you do it, please record it.
Here's the thing. If I do say your name, it's going to be Brent Martino, as they seem to call you here when I was doing the podcast with Murray State Racers. The guy that was hosting is like Austin Lane, and his co-host Brent Martino. So from now on, you're Brent Martino.
Do me a favor and call me Brentano Martino would be a little bit better. All right. I like that.
Deal, man.
As my old coach used to call me. But, hey, man, good luck. Have fun. Congratulations from all of us here. That's pretty cool stuff.
Cool.
Going into the Hall of Fame tonight. Have a good weekend.
I appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
All right, that's Austin Lane. Congrats to him. We got to take a break. We're way up against it. When we come back, Matthew Driscoll joins us. Big wins for UNF. We'll get back to the Garrett conversation. We'll welcome your conversation as well. Star 690 is the number. There's a lot to dissect here. I can't imagine y'all agree with everything we're saying, but if you want to jump in, star 690 or 904-362-9901. We've got some Foles talk, Jags talk against the Colts. A little hoop talk coming up. Matthew Driscoll. And more on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
Happy Friday. I'm Jake Mitchell. Last night in Cleveland, there was a massive brawl and a football game broke out. Thursday Night Football did a full WWE-style heel turn when Myles, Garrett, and Mason Rudolph began fighting, which led to Garrett removing Mason's helmet and hitting him with it, which is both shocking and innovative. Myles Garrett has been suspended indefinitely from the NFL without pay. Here's starting quarterback for the Browns, Baker Mayfield, after the game.
I don't care, rivalry or not, we can't do that. That's kind of the history of what's been going on here lately, hurting yourself, and that's just endangering the other team. That's inexcusable. He knows that. I hope he does now.
Stay connected with ESPN 690 while you're at work by listening on ESPN690.com. The best kept secret in tires is TireOutlet.com. Tire Outlet offers wholesale prices with premium service, and TireOutlet.com always has a safety-first focus. With locations throughout the First Coast, there's no need to go anywhere else for tires and service.
Hey, boss, pass the peanut butter, will you?
Here. I still can't believe we're eating PB&J for dinner.
Well, times are tough for us crooks. I mean, we can't find any houses to rob because they all have Safe Touch security signs.
Ugh. Just pass the jelly, will you?
Cheer up, boss. 'Tis the season to be thankful.
I'd be thankful if I had earplugs. Now pass the jelly.
No, think about it, boss. Since we stay away from Safe Touch houses, we never have to worry about that 45-second or less response time or the two-way communicators. I'm thankful for that. So what are you thankful for?
I'd be thankful if Lester Jackson moved to Alaska and took Safe Touch with him. Hey, you used up all the jelly.
What? Oh, sorry, boss. Here, you want a bite of mine?
Oh, I hate Safe Touch!
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
Our partners at BSN Sports, the largest provider of team sports equipment and apparel in the country, would like to thank all of the coaches out there who truly are the heart of the game. While BSN Sports is the best at equipping athletes with a one-stop shop for everything needed to run an athletic program, coaches are the best at equipping lives. And that's the real final score. Learn more about how BSN Sports can save you time off the field so you can impact more lives on it by calling your local BSN Sports sales professional or by visiting bsnsports.com today.
Moscow Ballet's Great Russian Nutcracker dazzles this Christmas. Bring the whole family together for the original holiday tradition. Step into a simpler time filled with sweet dreams and spectacular magic. Experience world-class artists, stunning costumes, and towering puppets on the Gift of Christmas tour. It just wouldn't be Christmas without Moscow Ballet's Great Russian Nutcracker. Get tickets now at nutcracker.com.
Appearing at the Florida Theater December 22nd. Get your tickets today at nutcracker.com.
You've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. You have to carefully monitor your health for the rest of your life. And you have an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease.
Cut, take two, action.
You've been diagnosed with a new purpose, to fight for the amazing life you made for yourself. To look that risk of heart disease square in the face and say, no, not me. You've been given a new opportunity to live. Get started at NoDiabetesByHeart.org.
If you've been thinking about LASIK, consider Meta Custom Vision at Florida Eye Specialist. Just listen to what golf professional Todd Bork has to say.
I thought about LASIK for years. Part of what I do is play and teach, and it's frustrating to not be able to see. And that led me to go to the 250 place, 250 and I, to where I found out quickly that, well, you're not one of those 250 guys. When I went through all the paces at Meta, and, when you hear somebody, they've done 25,000 cases, and he was one of the pioneers of it, you feel like they kind of know what they're doing. I was told that there was financing options. It included all the follow-ups, and it also included if you had any problems or any tweaks needed to be made, they were all covered.
See why thousands of patients have chosen Meta Custom Vision and Florida Eye Specialist for their eyes. Call 268-EYES or online at metalaser.com. Hurry before your HSA or Flex spending accounts expire at the end of the year. Your eyes deserve the very best. Meta Custom Vision at Florida Eye Specialist. 268-EYES.
Are you looking for the best wings around? I found the place. Listen up. Hey, everyone. It's Brent Martineau. Mr. Chubby's Wings is awesome. 2 locations, the West Side and in Fleming Island. They are a part of the community, too. Mr. Chubby's Wings wants to wish all of the high school teams good luck this fall. They've been supporting youth athletics for a decade. Get ready for the game at Mr. Chubby's. Celebrate the big win at Mr. Chubby's. Chub it up with the best wings around. Mr. Chubby's Wings on the West Side and in Fleming Island.
Hey everybody, Trey Wingo here from Golic and Wingo. Thanks for making ESPN 690 the fastest growing sports station in Jackson. It's clear Northeast Florida has great taste in radio. I mean, you're listening to me every morning, right? Join the ESPN 690 team and get your business notice today. The First Coast is making the switch to ESPN 690, and there's no better time to get your business in front of them. Call ESPN 690 today, 245-8732. That's 245-8732. Grow your business today on the new ESPN 690.
If only Toyotathon was good on used cars, too, huh? Wait just a minute. It is. Toyotathon is on, even on used, when you shop at Arlington Toyota. With over 400 pre-owned on the lot every day and 60 vehicles priced at under $12,000, you know where you're going to find the ride that's just right. It's at Arlington Toyota. Did you know with every pre-owned purchase at Arlington, you join the club, the Arlington Toyota $5,000 Advantage Club? It's filled with savings, benefits, and rewards to take your Arlington purchase to the next level. Just think about it. When you buy pre-owned from Arlington, you get Toyotathon savings even on used, plus the Arlington Toyota $5,000 Advantage Club, plus top dollar for your trade, plus same model year cars, trucks, and SUVs. So I got to ask you, what are you waiting for? It's time to save at Arlington. Toyotathon is on, even on pre-owned when you shop at Arlington Toyota, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Austin Lane from Action Sports Jax. Thanks for making ESPN 690 the fastest growing sports station in Jacksonville. It was a lot of fun playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars for 3 years, and I'm having just the same amount of fun on the radio every single day with ESPN 690. So I'm reaching out to you to be part of our team and grow your business with ESPN 690. Give us a holler at 245-8732. That's 245-8732. We look forward to hearing from you and hope you join the team.
Lose weight forever. Well, that's what our clients are doing after visiting McGowan Medical Centers. See, the plan that we have is not for us to keep you coming back. We will teach you how to eat right, live right, and look right. Forever. Call us for your complimentary consultation and make this the last call you'll ever need regarding your weight loss. It's a lifetime, lifestyle-changing weight loss program designed just for you. Give us a call now. Don't wait. 350-5544. McGowan's got your back, literally, and your waistline too.
Golic and Wingo.
I think my jersey was one of the top-selling jerseys around the world, and I didn't make $1 from it, but nor did I want to.
I respect Tim Tebow. I respect his opinion. I love his passion. I just could not disagree with it more.
Golic and Wingo, weekdays at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Trey Wingo here from Golic and Wingo. You're listening to Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane. Give the guys a call. Grab your cell phone and call ** 690. This is ESPN 690.
Being a gardener, you have to just always stay ready because you never know when your number gets called again. And so just making sure he's preparing to still be like a starter would, and then just trying to help Foles as much as he can. Whatever he sees on the field. And then with Foles, this is an opportunity to come out here and be the guy that, he's supposed to be, who he is, and just lead us.
That's Calais Campbell last night at Jaguars All Access. I thought Calais Campbell and Najee Good were awesome last night talking about Foles, this football game coming up. We'll get to more of it in just a moment. But before we do all that, let's welcome in UNF basketball coach Matthew Driscoll right now on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. And, Coach, you do a lot of difficult things. You're trying to win basketball games. But I know how this is going to be challenging for the both of us. We've got about 7 minutes to chat before we got to hit the top of the hour. So I'm squeezing you in, and we got a lot to get to. So sorry to put you up against it.
Well, that's all right. Well, first of all, I'm in Mount Washington Youth Foundation. We're having a career fair day out here, and it's awesome to help young people try to figure out what they're doing. A lot of our guys here, a lot of our athletes, so that's awesome. The other thing as a coach, it's very, very difficult when a guy gets hurt and then where your team is going. However, if the guy that got hurt was the guy that was at the front of the pack, was it the leader, was the guy that you kind of gave the keys to drive the car, yada, 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 when that person comes back, they shouldn't be penalized the fact that they had an injury that occurred during the game that they could do nothing about. And though the other person is doing well and the team's doing what they're doing, this guy was the guy that you felt was the man for the job. So those difficult decisions are made. They're made by coaches and front office personnel. But in my opinion, for people like that and for like a guy like Garrett Sams that didn't play last night because he was injured, whenever he's healthy, no matter if we're still winning, no matter if he's healthy or not, he's going back into the starting lineup because that's where he should be, and everybody else will figure it out around there. That's what's being a professional is part of that as well too.
Yeah, and you're Nick Foles getting back in that starting lineup, and you just mentioned Garrett Sams. Is he out for a bit? How's he doing?
No, he's really day-to-day. Something that occurred in the Florida game, and it's aggravated him, and it really is based on how he feels. And against Georgia Southern, he played well, but he aggravated it again, but he was able to fight through it, had 20 points that night. So he's just a day-to-day thing. He felt better today, but, as we move throughout this weekend and then we get into next week, we had a game Monday night, and then we travel, and we start 11 out of 12 games on the road in a 40-day span. So if you'd like to do some traveling with us, let us know. The show, that'd be good for the show.
It would be good for the show, Coach. We're live at Lee High School right now.
We're going to Vegas, too, Austin. We're going to Vegas.
Vegas is part of the trip. We might have to sign up for that one, Coach. Matthew Driscoll with us, UNF basketball coach. Hey, we will get to more of your team, I promise. But as a coach, do you use at all last night's Myles Garrett? I'm assuming you've seen that from the Cleveland Browns. Do you use anything like that as a coaching point to your guys to remain composed? I know it's a different game. I get it. It's football, it's basketball. Can you utilize that at all? Am I stretching this, over-dramatizing it? Let me know.
Yeah, I wouldn't use that particular instant because I think that one goes completely overboard. At that point, you're talking about removing people. You're talking about large game suspensions that are going to cost your team. For us, the guys get suspended, they automatically get kicked out the next game. And so in the NCAA, that would be a whole different world what transpired last night. And the NFL is going to have to do so. I don't know if they came down yet. We've been in practice and what? Did he get suspended for the year?
Yeah, he got suspended indefinitely for the year and then in the playoffs too. Yeah.
Yeah, which is accurate. But we do talk about it from the other aspect though. Composure, where you're at, what's going on. Well, Coach, he's been hitting me. Coach, he hit me in the head with the elbow. All those things are understandable and they transpire, but the reaction and the retaliation can have greater consequences on your own team, which you could suffer not only at that moment but down the road. So let's say a fight breaks out and guys leave the bench, which they're not allowed to. Well, let's say a guy fouled out and he wasn't playing and he left the bench. Now those guys get suspended. They can't play the next game. The next game might be the game against whatever. Bada bing, bada boom. One game can make such a difference. So we do show those things and talk about those things and try to go about how you can learn from this. But the biggest thing is the composure part of it. And athletics is full of emotion. Think about the NFL, Brett. You guys, they're asking these men to be extremely physical, extremely violent, hit as hard as you can. Don't let, this, and then all of a sudden they're saying, be a nice guy, too, at the same time. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about a lot of juices flowing, a lot of things going on in people's minds. And so I get that part of it, but you got to have a competitiveness that understands the difference between the two. However, for Austin's case, we did show a little Mike Tyson last night before we went out for warm-up, so that worked out really well.
Well, quite frankly, Coach, that's why I sit as far away as possible in the studio from Austin. I never know when he's going to lose it, just for a moment at least.
Hey, Tyson only took about 30 seconds. He knocked dudes out.
By the way, I didn't tell you, but Austin's in Kentucky today. He's not on the show. He just called in because he's getting inducted into Murray State's Hall of Fame tonight.
Oh, so, sweet.
Yes, that's pretty cool. But, hey, we've only got a couple minutes. I want to talk about your basketball team. I like your basketball team. I think you like your basketball team. 63 points you gave up last night. I know you love that number. You're 3-1. I like the early home games. The crowd was into it last night. Pretty good stuff to start this year, huh?
When you get 4 in a row at home during the week, and I think that's the biggest thing. We've been able to secure some games. Coach Kennan did a wonderful job. We've been able to secure those games during the week when the students can really come and really want to come, and it doesn't interrupt with college football and pro football either, because I'm not unintelligent. In January, it's a little bit easier because there's nothing going on, but it really has bode well for us. Plus, Georgia Southern, a team that's picked to win the league, Conference USA last night, Southern Mississippi, and we still got High Point coming in as well, too. So some really, really high-level games as well, and now you get a little bit of mojo. Now you get a little bit of feel-good. You play without your leading scorer last night, and you still played really, really well, though it came down to a couple possessions down the stretch. But some young people, Emmanuel Adedoyan stepped up, made 8 straight points, 2 big threes. Dorian James started for us as a freshman. So the experience, the older guys that we already talked about, now mixed in with some guys that quite haven't had minutes yet in these kind of games against this kind of competition, it's really bode well for us. And we got one more Monday night, and we head off Iowa and Creighton. Creighton will be 17,000 loud and proud. And then we go to Vegas for a tournament that has mid-major ramifications on it. It'll be our own little tournament, 14 tournament. We've won 5 of those since we've been here. So our non-conference schedule is really, really, really in a good place for us leading into our conference play on January 2nd.
Awesome. Good stuff. UNF basketball coach Matthew Driscoll. Monday night, 7 o'clock tip. That game will be. Come on and check it out Monday night against Trinity Baptist before they hit the road. And there are a couple other home games sprinkled in there that will be good to watch. The one coach referred to is Monday, December 2nd against High Point. So we'll keep an eye on all those.
Hey, Smith coming to the house.
Tubby Smith, that's right. By the way, Coach, nice job with you guys getting out to the Mal Washington Clinic and helping out over there today. Good exposure for your guys and also helping out a good man in Mal Washington. So good luck Monday night. I appreciate you squeezing in and joining us for a few minutes.
Hey, Brent, I always appreciate you. And the one thing I would say is that as we move forward and just, continue the electricity that's been in the building with our student body, It's been amazing. So I'm thankful for the Greek Life Osprey Nation and our loyal supporters.
Well, I saw you flip the fuse back on. Very nice job today fixing that fuse.
Think I flipped them off, too. I think I turned somebody's computer off, too.
Matthew Driscoll, have a good one, man. Good luck Monday night.
All right, baby. Thank you, brother.
That's Ospreys coach Matthew Driscoll. Next time we'll keep him a little bit longer. Appreciate him jumping on. When we come back to football, high school football, college football. Oh, what about the Jags? Took me an hour to get to the Jags. We'll talk a little bit about the Jags next on ESPN 690.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Where I'm from, marijuana is legal. Can I use it in Florida?
Nah, it's illegal here. 20 grams or less is a misdemeanor, and more than 20 grams is a felony.
Well, I have epilepsy. Should I try to get a medical marijuana prescription?
Now that's legal, but talk to your doctor first to see if it's a qualifying condition and if medical marijuana is even right for you.
I will, thanks.
Hey everybody, it's Brett Martineau from Action Sports Jax. Thank you for making ESPN 690 the fastest growing sports station in Jacksonville. Everyone is loving our in-depth coverage of the Jaguars, the NFL, and all things sports. Another thing our listeners will love, your business. Let's work together and get you on the fastest growing sports station in Northeast Florida. Call ESPN 690 today, 258732. That's 904-245-8732. Grow your business today on the new ESPN 690.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anna Jar and Levine studios. Anna Jar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Is cool last night, and that what he did was selfish and unacceptable. Garrett gets an indefinite suspension from the NFL. He'll be out at least the rest of this season, including the postseason. During a late-game brawl with the Steelers, Garrett ripped the helmet off Pittsburgh quarterback Mason Rudolph and then hit him in the head with his own helmet. ESPN's Damian Woody.
You do something this stupid, you're Myles Garrett, you're in the middle of a playoff push, you're going to get suspended, you're the best player on their team, and now you're not going to be available. How dumb is that?
Garrett will appeal his suspension. Marquise Pouncey of the Steelers gets a 3-game suspension. Larry Ogunjobi of the Browns gets 1 game. Eagles running back Darren Sproles will miss the rest of the season with a torn muscle in his right hip. The Eagles are now working on a deal to bring back Jay Ajayi. Anthony Davis of the Lakers says he expects to play tonight against the Kings. He missed the team's last game to rest his injured shoulder and ribs.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jags.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anna Jar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jags on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
The one thing about this team, man, is we got a swag about ourselves. We're going to show up. We're going to show up in big times. And, I got something personal on this game. Playing with Indy last year, I'm trying to knock everybody out. If I can get there before Calais get there, then it's definitely going to be some problems for them.
That's Najee Good last night on Jaguars All Access, 7 o'clock Thursday nights on Fox 30. And he was good last night on TV. I tell you, I wish we had an hour on that show last night. We had some awesome stuff. Calais was great on Foles and football. Good was really good. He's played with Nick Foles before, won a Super Bowl with him a couple years ago in Philadelphia. And we had Sean Carfon as well from the Wounded Warrior Project. So if you get a chance, go back to Action News Jax and check out Jaguars All Access show from last night. Again, I wish we had an hour. Next week, next Thursday, we'll be at Mayport. The show will be live at Mayport, and we'll have our Salute to Service edition of Jaguars All Access. So looking forward to that one as well. Brent Martineau right now in the backyard. I'm actually in a classroom here at Lee High School. The backyard's right there. That's the football field. And there's a big game here tonight, round 2 of the playoffs. It's Lee against Columbia. The Jags have a huge game coming up on Sunday. Of course, we've got a full slate of college football, and the dominating topic of the day is Myles Garrett and his suspension from the NFL. Let's bring in Action Sports Jack Stuart Weber. I want to talk a little high school football before Weber hits the road and goes out for the evening to all different games. I think he's heading north of the border, in fact. What's up, Weber?
Yeah, this is the earliest I have ever had to leave for a game. I kind of feel like Marcel Robinson. He leaves like 9 hours before for something like 30 minutes away. So I kind of have that feeling right now because I'm going up to Waycross, Georgia, home of the Ware County Gators, as Georgia playoffs get started tonight as well.
Well, you said it. They get started tonight. They're a week behind Northeast Florida and the state of Florida when it comes to postseason.
Yeah, 1 week behind. We have 4 teams from Georgia that are in it this year with Glenn Academy at home as well as Ware County. Brunswick's on the road, and so is Camden County. So, by the way, the people who love Camden County, that game's actually on GPB, so Georgia Public Broadcasting. If you get that channel, which we do on DirecTV, if you get that channel, you can tune that in and check it out if you're a big Camden County fan.
Wow, Weber, you found that? You found, what is it, GBB?
GPB. That's
GPB.
It's like the PBS for Georgia Public Broadcasting.
Wow, and you found that on DirecTV. Like, did somebody tip you off, or did you go through the channels on DirecTV for that?
Channel 8. It was actually really easy to find.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
I can't believe we found it.
It's the PBS that we get here on our DirecTV. So there you go.
Okay, interesting. All right, man. Well, what do you like tonight? We've got this one, which is a dandy. We had it last time. It was an overtime game. Lee beat Columbia. They have beaten Columbia now 4 out of 5 times. I continue to say Columbia, in my opinion, has the best player in the area, at least this year, and that's Jordan Smith, the quarterback. But they've been banged up, and it does look like O.J. Small has Brian Allen's number when it comes to this football game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the rematch. And obviously I was at both of those games last week for both Lee and Columbia in their round 1 playoff victories. And obviously they both came out with wins a little closer than maybe they would have expected. But they both got the job done. And once again, here we are again, setting up that matchup between Columbia and Lee. And like you said, Columbia, very, very talented, but it is tough to go into the backyard and beat O.J. Small and Lee. It's become a really fun rivalry just because you never know what you're going to get out of it. But the one thing you do know is it's going to be an awesome game. And that's, again, what we're expecting tonight. That's definitely the game of the week, which is why it's our game of the week.
It's Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. We're live at the backyard where the game of the week will take place, 7 o'clock kick. And once again, just like last week when we were at Fleming Island, we'll just have the audio of this one. Between all of us, the FHSAA charges quite a bit of money to show the video side. So we're just doing the audio side, and you can find it on all our platforms, on the TuneIn app, iHeartRadio app, on ESPN 690, of course, in your car, ESPN690.com. You can stream it. And, you can just ask Alexa nicely to play ESPN 690, and you can hear this football game tonight as well. And then you see all the highlights tonight on the Friday Night Blitz, 10:30 on Fox 30, 11:20 on CBS 47, and Fox 30, highlights from around the area, including this one, our game of the week. And on top of that, what we did with the Fleming Island game is we'll go back and put even more highlights and marry them to the calls of the game. So we have about a 4 or 5 minute clip that's on Action Sports Jack's Facebook page, and you can see longer highlights of the game of the week. So we have all that for you. There's a way around everything to deliver it to you, the listener.
Hey, it's our synergy. We're a TV station. We got a camera there. We're able to shoot that game. We're going to put it all together for the people at home. It might not be live like it was throughout the course of the regular season, but we'll certainly get all those big highlights attached to the great call from you and Coach Selly.
Yeah, well, thanks. Let's hope it's a great call. But I will say this, too. I think it's I told this story on Twitter today, and it's still one of the cool stories. You know, sometimes you're like, okay, let's do high school football. We want to start this up. We thought it would be really good for our Action Sports Jack synergy, like you just said, with the Blitz, which we've been doing for so long, and do our game of the week on the radio side with ESPN 690 since it's new this year. But a mom came up to me, and, in fact, it was Broden Domenico, who's a good receiver for Fleming Island, his mom, and she said, hey, my husband, which is Broden's dad, was listening to the game in Iceland last week. Wow. I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. You know, sometimes you're like, that's pretty cool. I'm glad we're doing this. And just for Broden's dad listening in Iceland, I thought it's worth it.
Well, that's the great thing, obviously, with technology and having that game of the week streaming live. The great thing for tonight, we don't have the game of the week streaming live, but we do, as we do each and every week, we stream our Friday Night Blitz, our full half-hour show that we do at 10:30 Eastern Time. We will be streaming that at 10:30 on the Action News Jax Facebook page. So if you're driving home, not the one who's driving, but, you know, in the back seat or passenger seat, pop it up on your phone, or if you're at home, throw it up on the Chromecast, however you want to do it. Or you can, if you're home, I guess you could just watch it on TV on Fox 30. But if you're in, I don't know, Iceland, then you can do that, throw it on Comcast. And hey, Fleming Island at Niceville, we should have those highlights. Our friends out there in the Panhandle are providing us those highlights. That's the great thing about high school football, too, is that it's all over the state tonight. And fingers crossed, we should get all the games from people all over where they're playing. So we shall see how that goes. Shooting for the perfect show. Trying to get every team on the show tonight. Lots of high expectations and hope, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is behind-the-scenes stuff, but I'm going to say it anyway. I mean, Stuart does a really good job at trying. I mean, this is like a passionate plea from him right now.
Oh, yeah.
To try to get a perfect night tonight.
And
like,
I know
nobody else will care.
Yeah.
But Stuart will care. Well, I'll care. But I'm just saying nobody outside will even understand it, get it, whatever. But it's one of those things like it'll be fist pumps with Subway and chocolate chip cookies tonight in the sports office if you can get the perfect night and get all the highlights from all the playoff games around the state and in Georgia as well.
It's going to be tough. It will be tough. I know we'll get all the games that we're shooting. It's just a matter of some of our friends in outlying areas and, you know, getting the technology to work. You know, it's really tough to trust people. But, no, it's going to be a great show. So if your team is playing tonight, there is a good, distinct possibility that we will have their highlights tonight on the show. That is the plan, is for us to have everybody who's playing on there tonight.
All right. You know, one other thought, too. We have so many shows, so many different platforms now, which is awesome. I would just say look for the logo. Look for the Action Sports Jax logo. Look it up, and you'll find whatever we're talking about, whether it's high school, college, or the Jags, or really anything else all year long. Stuart, I want to get your thoughts real quick. I haven't talked a ton of college football outside of the college football playoff rankings. You're a Gator. And I've been telling Gators all week, I'm not worried about Missouri. I think Florida will be really ready for this game. I know they've got a losing skid against Missouri. They don't fare well against them. I don't slice this one that way. I think the Gators are going to be okay. The weather looks okay out there, even though it's been chilly all across the country, really, even here in Jacksonville. How concerned are you as a Gator guy about tomorrow's game?
I'm not concerned.
Really? So you are confident?
I'm good. I'm confident, yeah. I feel like they've done well. I feel like to take that next step forward, you know, maybe you lose some of the games you're supposed to lose this year, and they've done that, but you win the games you're supposed to win, and this is a game that they are supposed to win. So I have some confidence in Dan Mullen and the team. I think the team has what it takes to go out there and win. Obviously, it's hard to judge a game against Vanderbilt as, you know, how they're playing right now, but Vanderbilt beat Missouri. Let's remember that.
That's crazy. But Georgia lost to South Carolina, too.
It's a crazy world how that works. Yes,
and speaking of Georgia and Auburn, which is really a huge game. Minnesota, Iowa, we got that game coming up this week as well.
Deep South's oldest
and Oklahoma
rivalry.
and Baylor. But you've been to that because you used to work in Columbus, Georgia.
That's right.
So how big of a rivalry is Georgia-Auburn when you're actually in the stadium? I know people talk it up, but there seems like now everybody's got 3 or 4 real big rivals in the SEC. Where does this one rank, and what's the atmosphere in terms of this kind of game? Because you've got 2 good football teams. It's never the same when you have one team that's really good, the other team's not so great, or both teams aren't so great. But both teams are really good and still playing for a lot.
Well, it's like we've said with, when we discussed who Florida's big rivals are, that it's very generational. I feel like Georgia-Auburn is very generational as well, and it's an older generation that really respects that rivalry a lot more. Everyone who's an Auburn fan hates Alabama. That's their number one obvious, that's the one that everybody hates and their biggest rival. There's no doubt about it. But I feel like, the older crowd maybe hates Georgia a little bit more just because the way college football used to be very more isolated, not as widespread, and everybody sees it. And so Georgia-Auburn used to mean a whole lot more back in the day. But I've been to that game, and it's good, and I've enjoyed it because I feel like the fan bases, in a way that Auburn-Alabama does not, I feel like they respect each other a little bit more, which makes for a fun environment, I think. And 2 really good teams and 2 really good fan bases, too. I enjoyed times covering that game in Athens and on the plains in Auburn. Both great places to watch a game.
All right, before we let you go, let's just stay on college football and bring John Bachman into the fold, too. I think he's there as well. Everybody there. Are we inviting the entire TV studio up to Action Sports Jacks on ESPN?
I did, and Burr said he didn't want to come up and talk to you. That's what happened.
That happens a lot, by the way. Doesn't like to talk to me when I'm down there on TV either. But that's okay. But all right.
Kidding.
Iowa, Minnesota, man. Well, where's your confidence? A lot of people around the country. Listen, I'm guilty of it. I said, because of college football, the way it works, the minute Minnesota won, I tweeted out, and sorry, Gophers, but I tweeted out, no doubt they're losing next week. It's just the way college football works. They'll lose to Iowa. And Iowa's a good football team. Iowa's favored in this football game. I love it. I'm intrigued by this game because I want to see how good Minnesota is. And I think it's one thing to pull off the one-off win, which was an incredible win, great win, and they deserve all the respect they're getting. But not easy to bounce back and do it again. And they have to do that on the road. What are your thoughts on Iowa, Minnesota tomorrow?
Well, first of all, I believe Iowa is a 2.5-point favorite, which they're at home. So really that kind of makes them an underdog, doesn't it?
Well, I would say it's a pick'em game.
Yeah, no, it is. That's what I'm saying, too. But here's the thing. Had Iowa beaten Wisconsin and still had a chance to win the Big Ten West, I would say that the chance of Minnesota winning that game would be very high because that's what Iowa does. But the fact that Iowa has lost and has nothing else to play for, they've lost to, Penn State, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and have no chance to win the Big Ten West now, that they will probably go, as you said, this is how it always works. And so now the Hawkeyes are at home, and Minnesota's a rival game, and because they don't have a chance at anything else. So
you're fighting for the Outback Bowl. Let's go.
The Hawkeyes will probably get another Outback Bowl as they do 10 out of 12 years. So
that's an easy trip for you, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm not really complaining. It sounds like I am. Anyway, no. So, yeah, I do. I'm with you. I think now I don't know that the Hawkeyes are that good. They cannot score points. Their quarterback, Stanley, has taken a step back in my uneducated opinion. And they can't score points. So it looks like Minnesota can, and I don't know that Iowa's defense is good enough to stop Minnesota. They can probably slow them down a little bit, but it still means Iowa has to score points, and I don't know anything about Minnesota's defense, but I'm a little nervous about this game, more nervous than I should be, because normally I would say Minnesota's a doormat, and Iowa crushes them just about every time. So I'm going to say that Iowa's going to win the game because of what you stated already, Brent, because that's how it goes in college football. But not because I'm that confident in Iowa, just because it's just the law of nature.
Yeah. By the way, they play for the Pig.
Yes, they do. The Floyd Rosedale.
Yeah. And so they play for the Pig, which, Stuart, I know you're new on this conversation, but we decided yesterday that because John Bachman's kids go to Bartram Trail and mine will go to Creekside, we are creating a new rivalry, a new kind of cup, like a year-long standings. But we're kind of wondering what we could play for. And Austin, I think, came up with a great idea yesterday. We should play for, like, the Golden Boar or the Golden Hog. because there's wild boars like down in St. Johns County, right?
Okay.
So that can be our wild hogs
Well,
or something, right? So that's going to be our trophy.
Right. So I've came committed and prepared today, Brent, because I have a few ideas I wanted to share with everybody and get everybody's opinions on
for the Mart Man Cup.
The Mart Man. Wow, we have a new name possibly.
That's a new name. It was Brent and Bachman battle.
Yep.
It was Action Sports Jacks versus Action News Jacks.
Yes.
And now what is it?
You can do Martman or Bacano. I mean, ooh. I think
Martman
Bacano.
Bacano.
The
Bacano has a nice ring to it.
The Bacano sounds like an Italian dessert.
I kind of like the Bacano Cup a little bit.
The Bacano has a fancier, like, Louisiana sound to it.
It's the Bacano boar,
Yeah,
know?
the Bacano. Ooh, okay.
Oh,
well, maybe
boy.
So.
Oh,
well,
boy.
We're really working on this, aren't we?
So a couple things really fit.
This is
First of
live
all,
radio, people. We could use your help.
Yeah, weigh in on all this stuff. But here's the thing. First of all, you know this as well as I do. We're not creating the rivalry. The rivalry's already there. We're just trying to create something fun to go with the rivalry, right?
We're elevating it.
All
Yes.
right. So a couple things. We could play for the lighthouse because there is a lighthouse in St. Augustine.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd make kind of a cool trophy. We could play for like the head of an alligator, like as in Happy Gilmore, or like Caddyshack, where they got that big old gator standing up on its hind legs.
Yeah, I got you.
We could do that because, the Gator Farm in St. Augustine.
Okay.
Or my personal favorite, we could play for like a for sale sign because there's, houses going up everywhere in St. Johns County.
It's for sale sign.
Those are
I
my
like
three
that.
contributions. Anybody else wants to weigh in, tweet at Brent or me or Stuart. And
Just use hashtag Bacano Cup.
Bacano Cup.
I like the lighthouse idea because that could be a cool trophy.
I could. I don't know if we were going for actually cool or just,
well, you gotta
hilariously
go
cool.
You got to go either outlandish like the wild boar.
Yeah.
Right. And we've already gone. This is how far we've gotten on this thing, Weber. That if we do the Bacano Boars, Bacano Boar Cup, then we get it sponsored by like Publix and Boar's Head.
Yeah.
That's why I just think we should call it Bacano Boar's Head if that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Bacano Boar's Head.
Yeah.
I like this.
I like
All right.
that a
We're
lot.
gonna keep working on this. But
Yeah.
hey, Creekside Bartram Trail, it's on, baby.
It's
on.
Love it.
All right, the annual cup. All right, John, what do you got coming up tonight? CBS 47 and Fox 30. Weber, if you have to get out of there and hit the road,
Yeah,
get out of there,
I'm
man.
getting out of here. I got to drive to Waycross for Pete's
All right,
sake.
have a good trip. Drive
safely.
safe.
Yes, I shall.
Thank you, Stuart. So yeah, let's see. It's funny. I was spending so much time researching this project that I. No, I'm kidding. We've got a lot of stuff going on. One of the things I think is really interesting there, and you may have already heard about it. There was a fire on board the USS Iwo Jima, which is ported at Mayport right now. Yeah. And Lorena Inclan spent some time on that ship a couple years ago, so she's covering that. It wasn't a huge fire, but it took them a long time to put it out, and obviously any fire on a big military ship like that can cause some serious problems. Thankfully, there were some sailors who reported some minor injuries, I think like a dozen or 14, something like that. But it took a while to put out, and so we're asking some more follow-up questions like how long is this going to set the ship back any at all as far as deployment or that kind of stuff. So we're looking at that. We've got an update on, of course, Taylor Williams. We're looking further into Mom, as we've been talking about now most of this week, and Burrish is going to outline what we can expect over the next 24 hours in weather, which you know this as well as I do, better than anybody since you're out there right now, Brent, but it's not pleasant out there. It's kind of like Seattle. It'd be a nice Seattle day, let's put it that way.
Yeah, it does feel – I was going to say this earlier. I mean, it is a chill. We got the open window here from the classroom, and it's not raining, but it rained a bunch, like a few inches of rain overnight, and so it'll be soft field conditions in much of the area. I don't know how much rain we're going to get tonight. I think Burrish told me that it should be kind of hit or miss and not as many downpours as we had this morning, but – you're right. It kind of feels like anywhere else in the country in playoff high school football today. I mean, it's cool.
It does, and it is going to. There will be. I mean, as far as high school football games, if you want to check out Mike's forecast tonight before you head out, it's probably not a bad idea because it will have some impact, I believe.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Coming up tonight, 5 o'clock until 7 o'clock, CBS 47 and Fox 30, again, late at night as well. And then we'll have the Blitz, the Friday Night Blitz, 10:30 on Fox 30, 11:20 on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Hey, man, have a great weekend. Appreciate you stopping in.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, and have fun. Stay warm tonight.
All right, appreciate it. That's John Bachman. Thanks to Stuart Weber for stopping by. And Coos, I'm about to give you some accolades here on the Twitter feed because you are doing a masterful job. Bachman made the feed, even makes it on the camera. I like it. He's probably now running in there and trying to
I'm right here.
switch
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, I was just trying to give you a compliment since we try to. We don't often do that, so I think we need to. You would be very complimentary of me if I took a break probably right now. So let's do that. When we come back, we're going to go to Indianapolis, I believe. The man who's calling this football game, buddy of mine, Andrew Catalan, will join us from Indianapolis. Colts and Jaguars Sunday. What should we expect? We're talking Jags. I promise. Let's do it. And also your thoughts. The rest of the show, jump in on social media. Give us a call, star 690. Not only on the Jags, on the Myles Garrett situation. You're invited to jump in. We are live in the backyard. Lee High School. Lee against Columbia, our Action Sports Jags. Game of the week on ESPN 690. It kicks off at 7 o'clock tonight. Back with more of the show next on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
The steady rain will diminish to drizzle and scattered showers as we go through the day today. Breezy and cool, highs only in the low 60s. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 Action News Jax from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, where you can get 20% off store-wide, including loose diamonds with special financing, only at Beard's Diamonds.
Tax problems can be extremely stressful and cause financial devastation. The tax attorneys at J. David Tax Law are right here in Jacksonville to be your personal advocate and resolve your IRS or state sales tax issues. J. David Tax Law focuses on your needs and case outcomes. Don't be fooled by these big out-of-town tax companies that only focus on getting you to sign up and pay without even working with an attorney. At J. David Tax Law, only highly experienced tax attorneys will represent you. Get the help you need with tax debt, payroll taxes, bank levies, wage garnishments, tax liens, and unfiled returns. If you have federal or state sales tax debt, have a sit-down with J. David Tax Law. Never trust your tax situation to anyone you can't walk in and look in the eye. Your first step is a no-cost consultation. Call J. David Tax Law at 904-507-4777, 904-507-4777, or go to jdavidtaxlaw.com.
Right now at the Home Depot, 'tis better to give and receive. Buy a Ryobi One Plus battery kit for just $149 and receive a select Ryobi One Plus tool free. Your choice from cordless drills to saws, even a radio. That'll make one powerful gift come Christmas morning. Actually, two powerful gifts. Buy a battery kit, get a tool for free. Only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through January 29th. Items must be scanned at checkout to apply while supplies last.
At the 1955 Rose Bowl, Goodyear began providing stunning aerial coverage of college football, forever changing the way the game is experienced. In recognition of its significant contribution, the Goodyear blimp is being inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame as an honorary member. It's the first non-player or coach to ever be inducted. Goodyear is celebrating this honor by reminding you to look forward and make sure you're prepared for the road ahead. Discover more at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, more driven.
Right now at T-Mobile, get the best deal on the newest iPhones. 4 iPhone 11s with 4 lines, just $35 a line.
Hey, Joe, tell that squirrel story again.
Yeah, come on, Joe.
No. Oh, I have a 4K video I took on this iPhone 11.
Let's see it.
Come on, really?
Ah, bear!
I swear that squirrel looked like a bear.
This crystal clear 4K video says otherwise, Joe.
Well, I'm just happy we could contact a ranger with T-Mobile's powerful signal.
For a squirrel?
Get to a T-Mobile store today and get 4 new amazing iPhone 11s with 4 lines. Now just $35 a line with qualifying trade-ins. Switch today.
Video streams at 480p via 24 credits for well-qualified buyers. $30 plan plus $5 phone with autopay, plus taxes and fees. If you cancel, credits may stop and remaining balance due. Contact us. Qualifying credit, service, and finance agreements required. 0 down plus $29.17 times 24. Pre-credit price $699.99. 0% APR.
This is the sale smart jewelry buyers wait for.
Beard's Diamonds 20% off sale on everything in their massive showroom.
Including loose diamonds.
Yes, 20% off everything at Beard's Diamonds.
In the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Fact. About half of all men will experience ED or PE. Fact. Both ED and PE are highly treatable. Fact. A safe, effective treatment is just a call away. At Prime Men's Medical Center, our highly skilled doctors guarantee results on your first visit, or there's no charge. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Rabinsky. If Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra have let you down, the treatments at Prime Men's Medical Center work immediately, regardless of your age or medical history. You'll receive custom blended medications designed just for you. They're safe and effective with no pain and no surgery. Patients are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer. And best of all, the treatments are affordable.
Men, if you want to last longer in the bedroom, schedule a private consultation with the experienced physicians at Prime Men's Medical Center. 904-206-8105. 904-206-8105. That's 904-206-8105.
At Action News Jax, we're here or severe. When storms threaten, put your trust in the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Team, led by Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish, rated the most accurate for the last 13 years.
The First Alert Weather Team is the only team of certified meteorologists in the Jacksonville area. That means we have the most schooling and training to forecast and predict severe weather. And that experience will keep you safe from a storm.
Action News Jax First Alert Weather on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Trust, tradition, and quality. A winning combination to feel good about your home. Sometimes it's just that time to replace your roof. Or maybe you need to fix your roof after a recent storm. Hey, everybody, it's Brent Martin of Action Sports Jax. And there are so many roofing companies in the area. But which one can you trust? Let me tell you about my friends at Jack C. Wilson Roofing Company. Trust a family-owned business with owners that grew up right here in Jacksonville. Talk to the owners directly. Get free estimates. And you can trust Jack C. Wilson Roofing to walk you through each step of the process. Tradition? Jack C. Wilson is a name you know. The longest-standing roofing company in Northeast Florida. They've been repairing and replacing asphalt shingle roofs since 1946. How about quality? A roof you will tell your neighbors about. Quality from start to finish, shingle by shingle. You can request a free estimate at jackcwilsonroofing.com. It's the first name in Jacksonville roofing. And make sure you let them know Brent Martineau sent you. Are you looking for the best wings around? I found the place. Listen up. Hey, everyone, it's Brent Martineau. Mr. Chubby's Wings is awesome. 2 locations, the West Side and in Fleming Island. They are a part of the community, too. Mr. Chubby's Wings wants to wish all of the high school teams good luck this fall. They've been supporting youth athletics for a decade. Get ready for the game at Mr. Chubby's. Celebrate the big win at Mr. Chubby's. Chub it up with the best wings around. Mr. Chubby's Wings on the West Side and in Fleming Island.
Phil Aitken with Aitken Home Team Keller Williams Realty is Jacksonville's real estate authority. If you have a question about real estate, call 500-PHIL. Need to buy or sell a home? Call 500-PHIL. Phil's results are staggering, and he's knocking it out of the park for his sellers. Phil recently sold the home at 314 Morel in just 6 days. He sold the home at 429 Panacea before it even hit the market. The 5-star reviews go on and on. Here's the point. If you're selling your home now or in the future, call Phil Aitken. He'll help you maximize the sale of your home. Phil has thousands of families who are ready to buy a home today, and Phil will sell your home at a price agreeable to you, or he'll buy it himself, guaranteed in writing. Don't risk losing money or precious equity on the sale of your home, or hire just any agent. Make the call and hire the only agent who will guarantee your success in writing every time. Phil Aitken is ready to help now at 500-PHIL. That's 500-PHIL, or visit philhasthebuyers.com. That's philhasthebuyers.com, and start packing.
When you owe IRS or state sales tax and can't pay, call J. David Tax Law for effective tax help. J. David Tax Law can stop IRS or state collection actions and protect you from financial ruin. Call J. David Tax Law for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777. Or at jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or a phone call away.
Locally owned and operated businesses give our community character by offering unique options for shopping and dining.
They are a big part of what makes living in the 904 so great.
Shop the 904! Powered by Cox Media Group.
Alexa, how do I drive more customers into my business?
First, people will need to hear about you. Then you need to be online where they look for you. Then you need to be involved in the community. Then you need to...
Whoa. I don't have time for that. I need to run my business.
Okay, searching for a local team that can help.
Local Solutions, your local marketing team putting you at the top of mind. Visit JacksonvilleLocalSolutions.com today and let us take your business to the next level. Local Solutions, powered by Cox Media Group. Marketing solved.
The Stephen A. Smith Show, weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Nobody's saying that Jimmy Garoppolo can't play. He's got 9 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. I know they got a good defense because that's the only reason they ain't know right now. It ain't because of Jimmy G.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Minshew looking for Westbrook. He's got him, and he stays in bounds, spinning his way to the 30 and still going, and finally out of bounds at the 26. Minshew in trouble again. Somehow stays on his feet. Minshew with time, directing traffic. Now fires middle of the field. Caught! First down, Jacksonville. Lambeau's kick on the way, right down the middle and good. And the Jaguars beat the Broncos, handing Denver its 8th consecutive loss going back to last season.
All right, we're going to need more of that out of Andrew Catalon on Sunday. More good vibes, more good karma, more good calls like that. That kind of go in the Jaguars' favor. That would not be a bad thing. Everybody, Brent Martineau back here at Lee High School. Our Action Sports Jax game of the week on ESPN 690 is week 2 of the playoffs. That is Lee against Columbia. Little backstory as we welcome Andrew Catalon into the show, who will call the game on Sunday on CBS. You can see it locally, of course, on CBS 47. Andrew and I worked together in different stations, but in the same market back in Albany, probably some 12, 15 years ago now. And I get to call a high school game tonight in week 2 of the playoffs here in the state of Florida. Andrew's calling the Jags and Colts game. Somebody's doing it better. Let's just say that. What's up, Catalon?
That is not true, first of all. And second of all, there can't be a more accurate promo than what I just heard during that break, in that you see Brent every day on CBS and Fox. You were as hardworking in Albany as you are now. I don't know a harder working man in this business than you, and I tip my cap to you, pal.
I appreciate it. Good to have you on the show, man. Thanks for jumping in for a few minutes. I think you're already in Indianapolis, if I'm not mistaken. I always have been waiting for this opportunity because I figured we could just make fun of our former sports directors, Rich Becker and Roger Weiland, for like the last 10 minutes.
I know. I've been wanting to come on your show for many years, and for whatever reason I wasn't allowed to, and thankfully now I am, and I couldn't be happier to join you.
All right, you got a big one now Sunday. You've talked about the Jags a lot. You've met with them a lot. You know this football team and this organization really well because over the years you've called so many of the games. I don't know how many games you've done with Indianapolis over the years, but my guess now is quite a few working with CBS. That's a big football game with Indianapolis reeling a little bit, losing 2 in a row unexpectedly to Pittsburgh and Miami. And we know we're down here what's on the line for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They need a W in a bad way.
Yeah, big one. No doubt about it, Brett. I am in Indianapolis, just met with the Colts and watched them practice today. And, they're a little banged up on offense. T.Y. Hilton's not going to play again. Paris Campbell's out. Devin Funchess is not ready to come back. So, I was looking at the receivers out there, and you're talking about Zach Pascal and Chester Rogers and Ashton Doolin. I mean, yeah, their tight ends are really good, and Jack Doyle and Eric Ebron, but I think there's some big opportunity here for the Jacksonville defense to really get after Indianapolis offensively. And, Nick Foles coming back, this. I mean, he's got to hit the ground running. There's no time for rust. I think John DeFilippo will get him in some situations early to try to get him in a rhythm, get him some confidence. And I expect Nick Foles, he's going to have to play a big game, but there's no question that this is a big one on Sunday here on CBS.
Well, you're doing a lot of homework for those Colts receivers. I mean, that's way down the depth chart for them, and they do not play well win-loss-wise when they don't have T.Y. Hilton. He's a big factor.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm going down the depth chart, but those are all guys you're going to hear on Sunday because that's all they have right now. And as you mentioned, they're 0-7 without Hilton since he join the Colts. They do get Jacoby Brissett back. That's huge. I mean, Brian Hoyer, really played poorly against Miami last week with all the interceptions, and they need Brissett back, and he looked good. He looks healthy. But they got some issues here. You pointed out the 2 in a row. Adam Vinatieri, goes back to your Patriot fandom, but he is really struggling. I mean, if his last name was Martineau, he wouldn't be on the Colts anymore. But they're giving him a lot of wiggle room here, and there's a lot of question marks in Indianapolis about how he's going to be able to kick on Sunday.
Yeah, certainly it seems like he tried to get out. They said, no, don't go anywhere. You've done enough. We still believe in you. And that's really backfiring right now on Frank Reich and the Indianapolis Colts organization. They don't have a lot of confidence if he's coming in to make a big kick. I mean, that's just fact based on what's been going on this year. You go all around the league and you get to these production meetings, which I always think is the best part because you get to meet some of these guys. You get a little bit of inside info, if you will. At least you get kind of a feel of an organization. And I find it interesting this week when we're talking about the Indianapolis Colts that the best thing we talk about is their offensive line. And that's not a knock on them. It's just so unusual to go to a football team and say, this team's best thing is their offensive line. Usually it's a quarterback or a playmaker or a defense of end. It's Mack or it's Jalen Ramsey or it's one of those guys. But it's their offensive line. And there's really not a lot of argument there. I mean, their offensive line is the strength of their team, right?
No doubt. And I love what Doug Marrone, Doug Marrone knows offensive line players better than anyone. And what he said this week about Quentin Nelson being one of the best guards he's ever seen in his time in the NFL was telling me something. And there's no doubt, Brent, that they're the highlight reel. But if you take a little look a little deeper at the last few weeks, they've allowed 10 sacks in their last 3 games. And they'll be the first to tell you that they have played better as a unit up front in the past, and they're not playing their best right now. So, against this Jacksonville defense, which we know can put up big sack games, there's an opportunity here for Jacksonville against an Indianapolis offensive line that, as you said, one of the best in the league, but not playing their best right now. And that's something to keep an eye on come Sunday.
Andrew Catalon with us, joined us on Action Sports Shacks on ESPN 690. Old friend from Albany, New York, has been doing a fantastic job in his career for CBS Sports. Covers the Masters, the NCAA tournament. You hear him, and, of course, every Sunday in the NFL. And, you think about the Jaguars. We heard your call from the Denver game, and Gardner Minshew will tell us, that was his highlight moment. Of course, the comeback, they get the win, and the way all that happened, he made some fantastic plays. But we have not seen something like Gardner Minshew in the NFL very often. And I don't know if everybody has fully grasped that. What went on for 2 months here in Jacksonville also spread across the country. I think you guys could even feel it as well. How unique was the whole Minshew story for you from where you sat?
Yeah, it was fascinating, and as you know, and as everyone who listens to his interviews know, he is who he is. I mean, he is just that genuine of a person. He's no different in a meeting than he is, on the field. I mean, it was a very easy guy to rally around and root for. And I just keep going back to the way Doug Marrone talked about Minshew as this phenomenon grew, and Marrone being very honest in the sense that 30 drives in the preseason, no touchdowns, and not knowing if this guy was capable of going out there, and then going in week 1 without any first team reps and throwing to receivers he hadn't really thrown to, and that to me is what's so hard about it. Backup quarterbacks don't get a ton of reps with first team wide receivers and tight ends, and to go in there and try to find some synergy and find a rhythm, what he was able to do so quickly is really what is amazing to me. And I give him credit for what he said this week. He said all the right things. He's disappointed. He wishes he's still the guy, but he had a great opportunity to start 8 games, and I do believe that he will have a future in the NFL.
Heck, this might be a weird question. We're with Andrew Catalon, who called the game with James Lofton on Sunday. But do you sometimes get a feel like in production meetings, talking to these teams, maybe it's at practice today with the Colts, maybe tomorrow when you meet up with the Jags for a half hour, do you get a feel like this team feels like they're going to win, or this team doesn't like the situation they're in right now? Do you get some of those emotions at all? You're a neutral observer. Your job is to be neutral. But I just wonder if those kind of ooze through sometimes, especially late in the season when teams kind of know who they are a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say maybe not every meeting, but there's no doubt there's times when, you can get a sense of a player's confidence or a coach's lack of confidence in a certain area. And there's been times where I've come out of those meetings and thought, wow, this team has no chance, and then I'm dead wrong. That's why gambling is ridiculous to me, because I'm studying these teams like you do and meeting with the teams, and I still have no idea what's going to happen. But at the same time, yes, you can get a feel for a game plan, the way maybe even if it's a player in terms of his health, how he's feeling. These meetings do help in that regard, and you don't always, can't always go 100% on them, but yeah, you do get a good sense of where a team is at coming into a game.
We're hanging out with Andrew Catalon just for a couple more minutes. I won't keep you much long, buddy, but I believe your introduction to the NFL, calling games, was preseason with the Cleveland Browns. Is that right?
That is right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I filled in for a guy there who was under the weather. His name was Jim Donovan. He had been battling some illness, and I filled in for him, and that was kind of my first crack at it.
Yeah, Jim, a legend in the Cleveland area as well.
Great guy.
So that was the beginning, and I just was referencing that just really for the heck of it, because I thought that's what it was. How about last night's game? How difficult would that have been to call last night? What was going on?
Yeah, I mean, it was sickening, really. I mean, I saw the replay, and my mouth dropped, and I could not believe I witnessed that in an NFL game. And I thought Joe Buck, from a broadcasting perspective, handled it brilliantly. I thought Baker Mayfield was tremendous in his interview with Aaron Andrews in terms of being honest. And Brent, we've been talking about production meetings and the chances I get to talk with people. And what's even more surprising is I've sat with Myles Garrett, and he is the most mild-mannered person I've met with. He talks about his love of dinosaurs and evolution, and he studies poetry. And honestly, when you get between the lines, tempers change and people change, but he's probably one of the last people I would have expected to do that. Now, I know there's a history. People have called him a dirty player, some of the hits earlier this year in the Jets game, and I get all that, but I'm just telling you, when you sit with him, that's not the aura that he gives off. And I'm not defending him. I think it's gross what happened. I think that he should be suspended even longer for this year, and what happened last night is inexcusable and disgusting, as I said.
Yeah, that's it's a good thought, but good context too, because I try to relay that a lot. It's one of the most fascinating things about this sport in the NFL is you know these guys a little bit, or maybe you meet them or you sit down with them, and then how they have to change and turn on a whole new persona sometimes in between those white lines to play this crazy violent game and then turn it back off. The guys that can do that correctly fascinate me. I mean, it's just a totally unique situation, and I think you kind of speak to that a little bit, and sometimes they just lose their mind out on the field, and that happened to Myles Garrett yesterday. All right, a couple more quick questions for you. Two more. Take us inside your side of the business, and how soon will you know where you're going to be, say, in like 2 weeks? And do you circle some games and say, I hope they send me to this game?
I definitely try to guess where I'm going to end up. We actually don't get much notice. I know where I'm going next week. I actually have the Steelers next week in Cincinnati. And then I just found out where I'm going Thanksgiving weekend. I'm doing the Chargers and the Broncos. So we only know about 2, sometimes 3 weeks out. A lot of times now the NFL is changing the schedule, as you've seen even recently with moving games around between networks and changing times, and that affects what we do. So we kind of have to wait until the NFL puts it in pen instead of pencil. So it's only about a 2-3 week wait time. And I've had the Jags so much, but I haven't been to Jacksonville in a while, which bugs me because I love going down there and seeing you and hanging out in the good weather. And I've had the Jags all on the road this year, which is disappointing.
Yeah, you've had Carolina, Denver, and now Indy, right?
And I had week 2 Houston.
Houston. Was I right about Carolina? Did you have Carolina as well?
Yeah. I had week 2 Houston, week 4 Denver, week 5 Carolina, and now Sunday.
Wow, yeah. I mean, you have that key to my house when you come down to Jacksonville. Just haven't had to use it.
I know. I love staying in your basement. I usually live there for about 4 months during football, but I haven't been down there in a while.
All right, last one, okay? I'm going to let you go. I'm going to leave you with this. And I don't even know if you can answer. It's okay. I'm putting you on the spot. Didn't even ask you beforehand. Don't get nervous. It's not that bad. But you do a ton of homework for these games. So is there maybe a sliver of homework that you've done that you're hoping you get to use on Sunday, But so much of it sometimes goes unused because the pace of the game or how the game goes. But is there like this nugget that you want to share with everybody on Sunday and you're just hoping that you get to use it? So you don't have to use it right now if you don't want to spoil it. But do you have something in your back pocket I can look forward to on Sunday?
Well, I'd say the first thing that comes to mind is our meeting with Frank Reich earlier this afternoon, and all the insight that he gave us on his time with Nick Foles, and then also in depth on the genesis of the Philly special in the Super Bowl. So I have a good feeling that's going to get in because Reich was really insightful. And Brent, you know Nick Foles a little bit now, and him and Frank Reich are so similar. Quarterbacks. The big thing is that they both are very strong in their faith, and we heard what Nick Foles said on Wednesday. And Frank Reich is former pastor, so he's very similar. So Frank was almost emotional in our meeting today, talking about how much Nick Foles has meant to him. So he gave us some really good stuff, and I'm sure we'll follow up with Nick tomorrow when we meet with the Jaguars. But I anticipate getting into their relationship quite a bit.
That's awesome. And, sometimes to humanize guys in this way is a little bit looked at as corny in this tough NFL violent sport. But what you just said about Frank Reich, and if you go back and watch Nick Foles' press conference on Wednesday, when he's talking about Frank Reich, you can actually see his eyes fill up with water a little bit. That's how much these two guys mean to each other.
And Frank's eyes kind of welled up a little bit, too, talking about Nick today. It was pretty cool.
All right. Andrew Catalon, we'll listen to you, watch you on CBS coming up on Sunday. Locally, will be on CBS 47. Hey, thanks for jumping on. Good to catch up with you on the radio show. We'll make fun of Weiland and Becker a little bit later on down the road.
You got it, pal. Have a good call tonight, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, man. Happy holidays to you and the family if we don't catch up with you. That's Andrew Catalon. He'll call the game with James Lofton on CBS. Been a fantastic career for Andrew Catalon. I kind of say this in private sometimes. Say the only guy maybe I'm jealous of really in this business. You can have your Joe Bucks and Jim Nantz and everything else, but Catalon and I, Coos, we were right there in Albany together. And here I am, still trying to make it. And Catalon's made it. I mean, he's doing the Masters, and he did like the U.S. Open, and he's doing NFL games all the time, NCAA tournament. He's fantastic and a really good dude, too. So loved having him on the show. Good to catch up with Andrew Catalon. Let's talk a little bit more about the Jaguars. And, Coos, I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, to play a little bit of sound from Jaguars All Access last night. You can pick whatever one, but it's on Nick Foles. And the way these guys talk about Nick Foles, this is the one I want you to play, if you don't mind, Coos, the one about practice. It struck me sitting in the chair next to Najee Good and next to Jeff Lageman and also Calais Campbell last night at Mellow Mushroom at Avondale for Jaguars All Access. If you listen, it's not a lot, but if you just listen to Najee Good and then also listen to Calais Campbell jump in on the way that Nick Foles has looked in practice so far, it was pretty cool. Coos, if you don't have it just yet, we can get it in just a little bit. But just let me know and keep me updated on that front. But these guys lit up, and now what you won't be able to see is their face, but I could see it. And Nick Foles obviously been practicing really well the last couple of days for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's a good sign. And I guess what we lose a little bit of sight of when it comes to Nick Foles is he's really been out there practicing for a few weeks. So he's kind of been back in the saddle and kind of getting some of that rust off. And even though the game will be totally different, I think the acclimation to his team being out there, being in the red jersey, throwing the football around a little bit at practice, those steps have already been made. So it's not like he just jumped off IR and said, hey, here's my first practice on Wednesday, and I'm going to play on Sunday. I mean, this has now been a few-week thing for Nick Foles to get back and acclimated with what he's trying to do and who he's trying to be. And this is the guy that they brought in to be the guy, especially this time of year, help them win football games. Maybe when they need a clutch play, make a clutch play at this point of the season. Because like Austin and I talked about yesterday, if you match it up with what he did in Philly, sure, he played good football. It's not like he played flawless football. He made some mistakes as well. But in the clutch, when they needed a play, whether it was the Patriots game in the Super Bowl or last year in the postseason against Chicago, the two-point conversion. When they needed to make a play, he made a play. And so that's what the Jaguars want and need. And Gardner Minshew was able to do that from time to time, too. So, again, every time we talk about Nick Foles, it's not an indictment on Gardner Minshew, but it is a little bit of an indictment on the quarterback position here in Jacksonville, because over the last decade, and this decade's about to end in about a month, we have not seen a quarterback be able to make a lot of clutch plays and elevate the team, especially in key moments down the stretch. And right now, these are key moments down the stretch of a season, but I'm talking about in a ball game as well. Here's what Najee Good and Calais Campbell were talking about last night on Jaguars All Access.
He's not been too cold. Nick been at practice.
Yeah, practice has been lighting
up. Us up. So, yeah, he's been, he's used to this. He's used to coming in at this time of year, even though that it's been this way this year. And, his last touchdown pass was, when he got hurt. So he's going to pick up right where he left off, I think.
Well, the reason I say that he knows it very well, Super Bowl champion with the Eagles when Nick Foles was the MVP.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, man. I played with Nick, came out with him. We went all the way back to the Senior Bowl, and dude has been special, man. He knows how to step in big-time roles with no pressure. That's how his vibe is. That's how he carries himself. And, going back to that Super Bowl year, and we actually thought we was going to play Jacksonville, man, but hey.
It was close.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff we need to work on, but he is going to be simple, smooth, and cool, cool as a fan.
Well, I joked with Najee Good right after he said that. I said, hey, if the Jags were to play you in the Super Bowl, you guys would have lost. He had a good time with it. Yeah, I don't know Najee Good very well. He was awesome last night on Jaguars All Access, and it kind of reminded me a little bit. He's plugged and played, and he had to fill in for Quincy Williams, who was out, and they've shuffled linebackers, and they needed some of that veteran presence. Good, I think, initially brought in here as a special teams guy, but you think about how long he's been in the league now. And, the experience of playing with Foles and the Eagles and the Super Bowl and just his experience in general, those little things really pay off for a football team. And, once Quincy Williams went on the lineup, that tough game against Carolina, Najee Good came in and played really good football for them. And they eliminated some of the problems that they had. Now, the number one thing the Jaguars still have to avoid, and Calais Campbell gave us the stat because the coaches gave us the stat, or gave them the stat this week. If they hold teams under 100 yards rushing, they're 4-0. If they don't, they're 0-5. It's about as simple as that. Marlon Mack is the key to this football game. They have to stop Mack and make Indianapolis, with that banged-up receiving core and a banged-up Jacoby Brissett, one-dimensional. Great news for the Jaguars on the injury front. One player, that's it. Seth DeValve, an oblique injury, doubtful for the game. That is it. The Jaguars are really healthy. More Jags talk, more football talk next on ESPN 690, including the latest from Tallahassee on the coaching search.
Pop quiz. If you sell a home for $500,000, how much would a traditional real estate agent charge in commission? If you guessed $25,000 to $30,000, you're right. But if you think that's the only way, you're wrong. This is why thousands of homeowners are making the switch to Rex. With Rex, you get a dedicated agent and a full-service experience at a fraction of the cost. Rex uses game-changing technology to cut out the middleman and save homeowners tens of thousands of dollars in fees. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. Remember, this is your home. Why give an insane amount of equity away to an agent? Rex offers the lowest fee in the industry without skimping on service. You'll work with an experienced real estate team with you every step of the way. Get the most out of your home. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME.
Florida, CQ 1057788.
Minimum fee may apply. Not licensed in all 50 states. Visit rexhomes.com to see if Rex is available in your area. Rex fully supports the principles of the Fair Housing Act and Equal Opportunity Act.
It's that time again, the time when I can finally say my favorite 3 words. No, it's not I love you, though those are pretty good words too. The 3 words I'm talking about, Toyotathon is on. And it's going on right now at Arlington Toyota. Arlington Toyota is the place to be when it comes to getting amazing Toyotathon savings on their huge selection. That's over 1,000 new and used on the lot every day. And it's all at Toyotathon savings. Right now, during Toyotathon at Arlington Toyota, lease a 2020 Camry LE for only $232 a month. That's a 2020 Camry for just $232 a month. Ready to unwrap a RAV4? Then get to Arlington Toyota, where you can lease a 2019 RAV4 LE for just $216 a month. Just $216 a month. Plus, you get Arlington's $5,000 Advantage Club and even a national lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles for new purchases. Toyotathon is on at Arlington Toyota, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/Toyotathon for offer details.
Do you want shoes made from nature's original luxury superfiber? Then you need new Skechers washable shoes, made from premium quality wool. To start, wool wicks away moisture to help keep you dry and comfortable. It's also super flexible and highly breathable. And not only do they keep you cool and comfortable in the summer, but Skechers washable shoes also regulate temperature to keep you warm and toasty in the winter. Plus, they're even washable. Discover the wonders of wool with Skechers washable shoes at a Skechers store near you, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish shoes are sold.
At the 1955 Rose Bowl, Goodyear began providing stunning aerial coverage of college football, forever changing the way the game is experienced. In recognition of its significant contribution, the Goodyear blimp is being inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame as an honorary member. It's the first non-player or coach to ever be inducted. Goodyear is celebrating this honor by reminding you to look forward and make sure you're prepared for the road ahead. Discover more at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, more driven.
The American Patriot School is a veteran-owned and operated 501c3 that provides high-quality, affordable childcare for kids 2 to 5 years old. Come out to their new campus at 4000 Spring Park Road, Saturday, November 16th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for some campus cleanup and chili lunch. They need help spreading wood chips, building playground equipment, painting, and more. Find out more information by visiting facebook.com/The American Patriot School and click on events.
Can a tree change a life? At Trees for the Future, we believe trees make all the difference in the fight against poverty, hunger, and climate change. Through a proven permaculture method called the Forest Garden Approach, Trees for the Future has positively impacted over 26,000 farmers and their children. Are you ready to leave a lasting impact on the world? Find out how to plant seeds of hope this season at trees.org/radio. That's trees.org/radio.
When the time comes to get your roof replaced, call Big Fish Roofing. We don't require any upfront deposits, and we are locally owned and operated by Jacksonville natives who have built their business on quality and integrity. At Big Fish Roofing, we know your roof is the first line of defense against the elements, so we make sure to deliver a quality project in a timely manner. You can find us at bigfishroofing.com or facebook.com/bigfishroofing, or give us a call at 904-685-8334.
The holidays are on the horizon, and that means family and food. Hey, everybody, I'm Brett Martineau. Let Renna's Pizza help you out. Parties at school, parties at work, celebrations, or hey, maybe you're just tired of cooking yourself. Renna's has you covered with 5 locations in Northeast Florida. Want a fresh one? Renna's makes everything fresh. New York-style pizza, sandwiches, salads, pasta dishes, everything fresh. Find out why Renna's has been a family favorite for over 40 years. 5 locations in Northeast Florida: Marsh Landing, Bay Meadows, Argyle Forest, San Jose, and the newest location in Neptune Beach.
Shop the 904.
When you shop local retailers, you're making an investment in our own community.
Check out cool stores like Jacksonville's own Video Game Rescue, a locally owned video game store that features new and hard-to-find retro video games, vintage toys, and they even have a game room with a bunch of classic games and pinball machines. If you have a gamer on your holiday gift list, you will find something perfect for them at Video Game Rescue on Blanding Boulevard.
Shop the 904.
Powered by Cox Media Group. Visit shopthe904.com.
This season, our team will have the best defense in the league. For your home, the best defense is a fence from Armstrong Fence Company. When it comes to home fences, Jacksonville owners trust Armstrong Fence Company. Visit Armstrong-Fence.com. That's Armstrong-Fence.com. Armstrong Fence Company. Yeah, we did the fence.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Cleveland Browns defensive end Myles Garrett will be suspended at least for the rest of this season, including the playoffs, after swinging a helmet at Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph's head last night. Garrett apologized today in a statement, but ESPN's Jeremy Fowler says Garrett will appeal his indefinite suspension. ESPN's Damian Woody.
I played 12 years in the National Football League, and I've never seen that happen before. Usually when the helmets come off, things kind of stop right there.
Damian Woody on Golick and Wingo. 2 other players get suspensions. Marquise Pouncey of the Steelers gets 3 games. Larry Ogunjobi of the Browns gets 1 game. The Colts will have quarterback Jacoby Brissett back on the field Sunday against the Jaguars. He missed the last game with a sprained left knee. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford will miss his second straight game Sunday against the Cowboys. He has back and hip injuries. Ben Cherington is the new general manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Cherington had been working in the Blue Jays front office. Prior to that, he was the GM of the Red Sox.
Great news. There's a quick way you could save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jags.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jags on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
The one thing about this team, man, is we got a swag about ourselves. We're going to show up. We're going to show up in big times. And, I got something personal on this game. Playing with Indy last year, I'm trying to knock everybody out. If I can get there before Calais get there, then it's definitely going to be some problems for them.
That's Najee Good talking about playing against his former team, the Indianapolis Colts. And he's had some former teams now. Played with the Bucs back in 12. Philadelphia Eagles for those 4 years or so, and included winning a Super Bowl in 17 with Nick Foles. And the Eagles, played for the Colts last year, and now the Jaguars. And did you know he has his own business? He started his own business. We're going to do a story on TV with Najee Good about that down the road a little bit, but really cool. I mean, a business that probably is going to be big in terms of partnering with the NFL. He's a cool guy, and good to get to know him a little bit more last night on Jaguars All Access. Brent Martineau here in the backyard. I'm hanging out in the classroom at Lee High School. It's our Action Sports Jacks Game of the Week on ESPN 690. We're going to get to Myles Garrett and that conversation and bring it back in just a few minutes. Also, Florida State, the latest out of Tallahassee on Bob Stoops and the coaching search. That's all coming up. And Colin Kaepernick. I tweeted late last night, kind of because I forgot about it with everything else going on yesterday, to tweet a little earlier in the day. The Jaguars will have representation at the workout for Colin Kaepernick. So more on all those stories in just a bit. And we'd love you to join the conversation here in the next hour as we take you up until 6 o'clock on any of those kind of topics. Star 690 904 362 9901. I mean, I'm hanging out by myself here today in the classroom. Austin Lane is in Murray, Kentucky, because he's being inducted into the Murray State Hall of Fame for his accolades on the football field. That happens tonight, so he's hanging out there this weekend. Good luck to him. Kuz, of course, is back in the studio. Kevin Sullivan will join me right here from the classroom as we get a look at Lake City, Columbia, and Lee tonight in our Action Sports Jacks Game of the Week on ESPN 690. That kicks off at 7 o'clock. In fact, Columbia just arrived here at Lee High School. But I want to stay on the thought of Najee Good a little bit and playing against your former team, because I think we get the stand pat answers all the time. It's like, hey, does that give you any more motivation? And a lot of guys will be like, nah, not really. I mean, whatever, it is what it is. In this day and age, I can kind of see that too, because people float around, jump around. You don't stay with one team very often in sports in general anymore, and especially in the NFL with the salary cap. So we don't get a lot of this. I was a little surprised at Najee Good talking about how much he can't wait to play the Colts. And he talked about that a little bit more with Jeff Lageman and with Calais Campbell. We do this thing called All Access Overtime after the show, and we do it for social media or for right here on ESPN 690. I want you to listen to this conversation going back and forth about the Colts, and you can really hear it in Najee Good's voice. He can't wait to play these guys on Sunday, and it's a bit personal.
I don't want to say that this week is payback week, but it might be a little bit of payback week for you, Najee Good. You were with the Colts last year.
Definitely payback. I just actually got off the phone with some of my dudes here. It's 100%. It's payback. It's a big week. It's all that.
Out of all the guys with the Indianapolis Colts, because I've been there before, there's always one guy that you want to hit just a little bit extra. Who would be that one guy?
The one dude that I want to hit a little bit extra is number 85, Eric Ebron.
Really?
Yes.
Why is that?
Man, we go way back, man. You know, just going up against him every day at practice. He got 2 sons. I got 2 daughters. You know, I think I seen his sons try to brush up on my daughters one time. So, you know, it's a whole lot. And then I know, Eric, I know what kind of crap he's going to talk. So the first chance we get when he held up in that pile, the ball coming out.
So is Clash, are you going to make sure you keep an eye on him game day?
Yeah, I got to make sure you don't get no 15-yard penalty, man. You know, got to keep it level-headed. But I'm right there with you. We'll rough him up a little bit between the whistles.
He's going to get him first. I'm going to finish him off.
Yeah, we'll talk. 85, I mean, he's a lot in front of me a few times, and I got your back.
Got bet.
All right, I got a request, okay? 85 is yours, 25.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Marlon Mack.
That's my guy.
Must.
You know, I got to get to him early and often, only because I want to win the game. And he's the key, in my opinion. We got to stop him. If we limit him, shut him down completely, it gives us the best chance to win this game.
Well, Calais Campbell said it right there. Great comments about playing the Colts and having a little fun with the Eric Ebron stuff and everything else. But I like that. I think that's really cool to hear Najee Good talking about it. And it means a little bit something more on Sunday to those guys. And the Jaguars, this game means everything to them. You really can't underplay it. We've talked about it now for 2 weeks. I mean, I've said it to a lot of folks like, I need a football game around here, and I'm sure you do too. If you're listening or watching, we've talked about the Jags and the Colts and Nick Foles and no more Gardner Minshew and all these things and how important it is, really at length and at nauseum. But bottom line, it is a big one, and it's almost here now, 48 hours away, and the Jaguars need to get this thing done. They feel really good about themselves, and what I will warn you about is if the Jags lose this game, they won't feel good about themselves on Monday, and it will start to turn, in my opinion. They have stayed so even keel in Jacksonville through all of this stuff, and it's really unfortunate. We have at least applauded but not been able to almost celebrate the job Doug Marrone has done inside that locker room to keep the football team the way it is, to build that chemistry after last year's miserable season of injuries and really a lack of chemistry, I would say, inside that locker room. What they have built between the leadership in the locker room, the coaching staff, the team in general, it should be applauded. But it's hard to applaud things when you're 4-5. And if you go to 4-6, I think a lot of that can unravel in a hurry too, because you're running out of real estate to catch up and do what you want to do and almost what you need to do in some instances and try to make that playoff push. So this is a huge game where it changes the psyche of this football team, in my opinion, or at least it can. We heard guys like Leonard Fournette talk about this is the closest team he's ever been on. You can tell by the way these guys are talking. They feel like they're pretty good still. Najee Good said, we've got a swag about us. That's all good and great, but now you got to get a W out of it. They know that too. I'm not saying anything anybody else doesn't know, but it would be nice for them to roll off a couple of wins. And I really think Doug Marrone deserves so much more than he's probably getting in the win-loss record, so we could discuss how he's kept this thing together and really changed it from a year ago. That has to do with the coach. You know, that has to do with what he's changed and kind of set that culture to be and worked on it with the input from the players. Again, I just don't think we're celebrating that enough. And in fairness, we probably shouldn't because they're 4-5. If they get to 6-5, if they start making a run and they're still alive late in the season, we can do that a little bit more. And then Doug Marrone will get a lot more credit. But at least to this point, I think it's a reflection on the head coach, some of the changes he's made, the way he's pushed buttons this year, and he's pushed a lot of the right ones. And it gets you thinking, as I say, push the right buttons. If he had only pushed the right button, maybe on that 2-point conversion, and I know it wasn't necessarily him making the call, but if they had just made the right call and they beat Houston in week 2, just even that game could put this whole season in a different light, at least right now. But the Jaguars still have time to make a correction on this season. They've just got to do it on Sunday. It is that big of a football game. And I don't know if it's the way the Jags are talking. I don't know if it's the lack of receiver depth. I don't know if it's Jacoby Brissett doesn't scare me very much and he's already a little banged up. Vinatieri's not a weapon at all. In fact, he's a concern and maybe a handicap for the Colts. All those things go into it. When you look at that injury report, you see the Jags have set the valve on that with an oblique, and he's doubtful, and that's about it. They're going to have healthy scratches in this game. I feel good about the Jaguars. I really do. I feel good that they can win this game. Yet, I say it with hesitation because I still don't know what they're going to get out of number 7. How could we know what they're going to get out of Nick Foles? How could we know what this offense is going to look like? And that makes this a bit of a coin flip for the Jacksonville Jaguars going into this game on Sunday. We're going to talk more about it. We're going to get back to Myles Garrett, a little Florida State update on the coaching search. But before we do all that and hit the top of the hour, we've got 45 minutes to go. We got to hit the happy hour horn here on a Friday and send you off into the weekend in style.
Party now begin. See the beautiful ladies marching in. There's enough for everyone to win. We're gonna make this party the best thing happening. This is my favorite place. Nothing will replace. No. Nothing. Anything goes. Gangsters are rolling, half-face smiling. Heads up, think of the rhythm what you're drinking. Anything goes.
Vida de Luis recently got a 98 rating, a locally owned tequila right here in Jacksonville, and it's made in Tequila, Mexico, shipped directly to Jax Beach. Go check out VitaDeLuis.com for all of the flavors, how you can get it, where it's distributed, and merchandise as well. Check out the Vida de Luis social media platforms, too. Make your own recipes with Vida de Luis Tequila, one of the smoothest tequilas you will ever taste. 3 flavors now, Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. Once again, check out VitaDeLuis.com and drink responsibly. Hope you have a great weekend. Have a fun weekend, but please be safe and drink responsibly if you are partaking. We have a call on the line right now, so let's do it right now, Kuz, and get Submarine Mike here on the conversation of Myles Garrett. We'll get to the FSU stuff in just a little bit, and we're going to talk more about Myles Garrett and the suspensions and this whole incident coming up in the next segment. But we got a minute or so let's get Submarine Mike in here. What's up, man?
Afternoon, guys. First, congratulations to Austin from me. So if you would pass that on for me, I would appreciate it. That's awesome that he's getting in the Hall of Fame up there.
We'll do. We'll need that on the whiteboard tonight, Submarine Mike.
I might do that. So on Myles Garrett, listen, this man should be in jail. That, at a minimum, was assault with a deadly weapon. At worst, it could be attempted murder. I mean, because here's the thing. I saw an interesting fact. You know, those standard red bricks that you've seen and people have killed people with? Those weigh 5 pounds. An NFL helmet weighs 6. That's assault with a deadly weapon. And the fact that the city of Cleveland is not arresting him or at least investigating it as a crime, I get it. It's on the field. There's some implied consent. However, there's a reasonable expectation on a field of play like that you don't get assaulted like that. And this is to that level. And the fact there are some NFL players defending him, most notably Cameron Jordan of the Saints, who I lost a lot of respect for, said, oh, this was all Mason's fault or blah, blah, blah. Mason started it. Dude, Myles Garrett started it when he did a late hit long after the quarterback threw it and drove him into the ground. So I know you got to go to break. Thanks, Brent.
All right, Submarine Mike, have fun at the Iceman game tonight. By the way, the Icemen will drop the puck 7 o'clock tonight and tomorrow. Looking to get back at Atlanta tonight. Then they'll play Orlando tomorrow, and it's Marvel Spider-Man night, Jersey night, at the Iceman tomorrow at 7 o'clock. So 2 hockey games coming up tonight, 7, tomorrow, 7 o'clock down at the arena for the Jacksonville Icemen. We'll digest what Submarine Mike said a little bit, and we'll talk more about the Myles Garrett situation. If you're just catching up with what the NFL did, how everybody's reacting to it, and we try to simplify it. You can, too, jump in on the conversation, though. *690 or 904-362-9901. What do you think? Was the penalty right? Should there be more? Mason Rudolph, should he be punished for his part in this as well? We'll talk a little bit more about it. The big story of, the last 24 hours, Myles Garrett loses his mind, and he's been suspended for the rest of the NFL season. It's coming up next on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Bundle up this evening. Under cloudy skies, there'll be some drizzle and light rain at times, and temperatures only in the 50s with the wind making it feel colder. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, where you can get 20% off store-wide, including loose diamonds with special financing, only at Beard's Diamonds.
At Action News Jax, we're here for severe. When storms threaten, put your trust in the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Team, led by Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Rated the most accurate for the last 13 years.
The First Alert Weather Team is the only team of certified meteorologists in the Jacksonville area. That means we have the most schooling and training to forecast and predict severe weather. And that experience will keep you safe from a storm.
Action News Jax First Alert Weather on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Moscow Ballet's Great Russian Nutcracker dazzles this Christmas. Bring the whole family together for the original holiday tradition. Step into a simpler time filled with sweet dreams and spectacular magic. Experience world-class artists, stunning costumes, and towering puppets on the Gift of Christmas tour. It just wouldn't be Christmas without Moscow Ballet's Great Russian Nutcracker. Get tickets now at nutcracker.com.
Appearing at the Florida Theater December 22nd. Get your tickets today at nutcracker.com.
Opportunities present themselves every day. Opportunities that move us forward. Opportunities to serve part-time in your community while continuing their full-time careers or education to help keep our nation safe at home and around the globe. Explore your opportunities in the Air Force Reserve.
Shop the 904.
We're local, you're local, shop local. This holiday season, shop local retailers right here in the 904.
If you're looking for unique gift ideas that have a real beach and unique Jax flavor, check out the Caribbean Connection Clothing Store on 3rd Street in Jacksonville Beach. You'll find all kinds of unique fashions and gift ideas.
When you shop the 904, you're also giving the gift of helping your local community stay unique.
Shop the 904.
Powered by Cox Media Group.
It's that time again, the time when I can finally say my favorite 3 words. No, it's not I love you, though those are pretty good words too. The 3 words I'm talking about, Toyotathon is on. And it's going on right now at Arlington Toyota. Arlington Toyota is the place to be when it comes to getting amazing Toyotathon savings on their huge selection. That's over 1,000 new and used on the lot every day. And it's all at Toyotathon savings. Right now, during Toyotathon at Arlington Toyota, lease a 2020 Corolla LE for a low $162 per month. That's a 2020 Corolla LE for just $162 per month. Get the truck you've always wanted and save when you lease a 2019 Tacoma SR5 double cab for only $199 per month. Just $199 per month for a Tacoma. Plus, you get Arlington's $5,000 Advantage Club and even a national lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles for new purchases. Toyotathon is on at Arlington Toyota, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/Toyotathon for offer details.
New flavors and a rating that would make men jealous. Hey everyone, this is Austin Lane.
And I'm Brett Martineau. Vita de Louis recently got a 98 rating. It's new and it's getting rave reviews.
Made in Tequila, Mexico, and shipped directly to Jax Beach. Vita de Louis is available in 3 flavors.
And those flavors are Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. Try all 3. Make your own recipes with Vita de Louis Tequila, one of the smoothest tequilas you will ever taste. For merchandise and more, visit VitaDeLouis.com.
Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
And we'll continue to talk about Leonard, but he hammers people on Twitter. Heck, if Doug Marrone was on Twitter, he'd probably rib him too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's he can get away with it.
Catch Brett and Austin weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 690 or ESPN690.com.
I'm Kevin Hardy, former All-Pro linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is Action Sports Jax.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty cowardly, kind of pretty bush league. You know, there's plenty of tape out there to watch. I haven't seen it replay, but yes, I really haven't seen it, anything like that, yeah.
Well, that is Mason Rudolph, Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, obviously right in the middle of that melee last night on the Thursday night football game. Oh, by the way, the Browns won the game. play for 3 hours and nobody talks about a football game. I mean, that's what happens, and nobody really should be talking about the football game. It's not like it was unbelievable. I will continue to say about that game that the whole thing was a bad look for the NFL. Not just the end. Now, the end was disgusting in a lot of ways. But an NFL that is really trying to promote player safety, there were at least 3 helmet-to-helmet hits that I can remember, if not more. One with an ejection, and I thought it was a right ejection, too. And I don't usually side that way, but I thought that one not necessarily had malicious intent. I think it was avoidable. And so I think the NFL made the right move. And you don't see that a lot now in the NFL, but that was a good move by them. You had 2 players, 2 receivers for Pittsburgh, including Juju Smith-Schuster, come off the field, and you could tell they had a concussion. And one of them bleeding from his right ear. And I said at the top of the show, I was a little surprised that the camera showed that so up close, especially the second player, and he's escaping my mind right now. Williams, Johnson, he's escaping my mind. But the bottom line is I was a little surprised they showed that. So this whole player safety thing, you've got helmet-to-helmet hits. You've got concussed players walking off the field with help and really looking like they have a concussion, one bleeding from his right ear. And then you have this melee with Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph and Maurkice Pouncey and the rest. And it was a bad night for the NFL. Simple as that. And it was a bad look. And, oh, by the way, they played a football game. Oh, by the way, the Cleveland Browns are trying to save their season. And, well, at least for a moment they did it because they got a W over Pittsburgh, a team they hadn't beat, I think, since 2014. Pittsburgh drops in the standings, tightens the race a little bit more in the AFC. The Oakland Raiders now slide into that 6 hole in the wild card spot, along with the Buffalo Bills. They're holders of the 2 wild card positions at the moment. So there's all these things from a football standpoint, but it really comes back to an ugly look for the NFL and a real ugly look for Myles Garrett. If you're just jumping in with us, we had Austin Lane on earlier in the show. He's, again, up in Murray, Kentucky. He's getting inducted into his College Hall of Fame, Murray State Hall of Fame, tonight and this weekend. And he joined us and talked about, heck, he was guilty of helmets flying at times in practice. We heard several players over the last 24 hours say, we've seen this in practice before, but never in a game. And that actually even took me back a little bit like, you see this in practice? Guys wave and throw and swing their helmets in practice against their own teammates? And I guess, well, people have seen it. We haven't seen someone lose their mind like this in a game on national television, which they're all on national television now. And, of course, this one even worse because it was a primetime game, the only game going on a Thursday night. So that part of it, I guess, is not super unique from a football player standpoint that it does happen, but usually on the practice field. The reaction also from fellow players, former players, and even teammates was this is embarrassing, and it can't happen. And most players, I think, across the way were saying, this is unbelievable. I can't believe that just happened. I've never seen anything like that during a game. I tried to sum it up at the beginning of the show with 2 succinct thoughts to simplify it for everybody else. One, I don't believe, and you may differ from me, but I don't believe anybody gets ejected from this football game if Myles Garrett never swings the helmet and hits Mason Rudolph. There was pushing and shoving and people trying to rip off helmets, but I think we see some of that stuff on a Sunday in the NFL or on a Thursday or a Monday night or whatever it might be. And so I don't think there would have been ejections. Now, there would have been penalties, and there might have been a little bit of pushing and shoving, and people would have broken it up. But this move by Garrett escalated everything else. So if you don't have that move, we don't have this topic, most likely, is my point. And we are not talking about suspensions. We are not talking about Maurkice Pouncey kicking players in the head and punching players to protect his quarterback, as he said, and he wouldn't be suspended as well. So I think that's the simplification of it. That's why you have to always begin this conversation with Myles Garrett. It was his fault. He lost his mind. There is no other part of this. You can blame it for Mason Rudolph starting things. He ran after him later on once his helmet was off. You can have all those arguments you want. The bottom line is if Myles Garrett does not use that helmet as a weapon, as the NFL stated in their release today when they announced suspensions, I don't even think we have ejections in this case. I think we just have a little bit of a pushing and shoving match and offsetting penalties with 8 seconds to go in the football game. The other side, to simplify, is the NFL got it right. The NFL in this situation, who we often criticize, and especially when it comes to discipline, they got it right for now. There is more to come potentially, but they got it right for now. The NFL issues an indefinite suspension rest of this season, including playoffs, to Myles Garrett. They also issue a suspension to Maurkice Pouncey for 3 games, and there is some debate on whether that should happen by some folks, but I think it was crystal clear that Maurkice Pouncey should be suspended. Yes, he's protecting his teammate, and that's kind of an unwritten rule and code of conduct in a locker room and on a football team and on any team, and that's okay, and I don't even mind the admiration for that. But you don't go to the lengths of kicking and punching another player to do that, or you're going to face consequences. So I'm perfectly okay with Maurkice Pouncey being suspended. And you know what? I think in his post-game talk, he indicated that he would probably be okay with it too. He just knew he had to protect his teammate. So they got those 2 suspensions absolutely correct, in my opinion, when it comes to this ruling. Then there's Larry Ogunjobi, and he's the player, the defensive lineman for the Cleveland Browns, that pushed Rudolph while all this other stuff was going on, and Rudolph had gotten up, and it was like right at the foot of the goal line, and they gave him a 1-game suspension. I'm here nor there on that one. I don't necessarily think they had to suspend him. It wasn't a great look. I think some people have blown that part of it out of proportion, but it is what it is. And if they give him a suspension, I don't have a problem with it. I just wouldn't have come on the radio today and said, I can't believe that guy didn't get suspended in this whole melee. There's one other part of it now, and that's Mason Rudolph, and there are pending fines. So Mason Rudolph, in my opinion, will be fined for his part in this whole thing. But I also think that Mason Rudolph, if he was suspended for a game, I would have no issue with. I'm not necessarily advocating for it, although I think it would be a smart play on part of the NFL. And now I don't know if it's too late because they already handed down sub-suspensions. But if they come back tonight, tomorrow, whatever it might be, and say Mason Rudolph is also suspended the game, be perfectly okay with it. And I would do it more as a cover my own butt part of the NFL to say, you know what, this guy was involved in it too to some degree. Now, he certainly isn't as responsible for the hellacious act of Myles Garrett, but he was part of it. And so whoever was part of this thing and that involved in this thing, we are going to discipline. So if they discipline Mason Rudolph, then that is certainly okay by me, and maybe something that they should do. There's a couple other things about this whole situation I think that people have talked a lot about, and one of them is the whole Freddie Kitchens and Cleveland Browns discipline idea. And I see it on social media, and my belief here is that everybody wants somebody else to blame. Everybody else wants somebody else to be at least somewhat responsible. Even though they know Myles Garrett's responsible, they want everybody else to at least have a part in their responsibility. It can't just be one guy. Well, in this moment, the one guy did something so bad that it trumps everything else. But I also think we have to be a little bit careful to say, well, it's the coach, their lack of discipline. Yes, the statistics show that the flags for Cleveland have been through the roof. I think they're first in the NFL. They're now first in the NFL in ejections. That because they had 3 of them last night. They have 4 on the season. They had 18 penalties in the season opener, if you might remember. So they might have a discipline issue in Cleveland, but please don't go pinning this on Freddie Kitchens. That's a separate issue. There's no way you can have a discipline issue, and there's no way a coach in the NFL, in high school, in college, and anywhere else teaches a guy to take somebody else's helmet and swing it at that player when he doesn't have a helmet on and hit him in the head. This is so isolated from discipline. It's really stretching the fact that the culture is no discipline. I don't think that's it. And I think you have to be a little careful to marry those two things together, even though they are 2 separate topics. Myles Garrett is his own situation on this one. This is such an isolated thing. We don't see this very often in the NFL. We don't see this very often in sports, that to me you can't associate it with other stuff. For Freddie Kitchens in Cleveland, do they have a discipline problem? Do they have a culture problem? Do they have all those things? That might be the case. But to me, that's for another day. This was all about Myles Garrett and what he did, and now he's going to pay the price. He did issue a statement today. I'll read that for you when we come back, what he had to say. His apologies included that to Mason Rudolph and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we'll get a little bit into that, and I'll tell you why it's probably a few hours late, although I'm glad he did do it today. That coming up, Florida State's latest coaching situation, and Yulee does a great thing for Derrick Henry. Now it's time for East High School to do the same for Tim Tebow, in my opinion. That's next on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
Happy Friday. I'm Jake Mitchell. Last night in Cleveland, there was a massive brawl and a football game broke out. Thursday Night Football did a full WWE-style heel turn when Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph began fighting, which led to Garrett removing Mason's helmet and hitting him with it, which is both shocking and innovative. Myles Garrett has been suspended indefinitely from the NFL without pay. Here's starting quarterback for the Browns, Baker Mayfield, after the game.
I don't care, rivalry or not, we can't do that. That's kind of the history of what's been going on here lately, hurting yourself, and that's just endangering the other team. That's inexcusable. He knows that. I hope he does now.
Stay connected with ESPN 690 while you're at work by listening on ESPN690.com. The best kept secret in tires is TireOutlet.com. Tire Outlet offers wholesale prices with premium service, and TireOutlet.com always has a safety-first focus. With locations throughout the First Coast, there's no need to go anywhere else for tires and service.
When you owe IRS or state sales tax and can't pay, call J. David Tax Law for effective tax help. J. David Tax Law can stop IRS or state collection actions and protect you from financial ruin. Call J. David Tax Law for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777 or at jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or a phone call away.
This is the sale smart jewelry buyers wait for.
Beard's Diamonds 20% off sale on everything in their massive showroom,
including loose diamonds.
Yes, you get special financing. You get Beard's already low prices. You get the largest inventory to choose from. Plus, you take an additional 20% off all diamond jewelry.
If you're popping the question this holiday season, right now you can save thousands.
20% off everything at Beard's Diamonds
in the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Pop quiz. If you sell a home for $500,000, how much would a traditional real estate agent charge in commission? If you guessed $25,000 to $30,000, you're right. But if you think that's the only way, you're wrong. This is why thousands of homeowners are making the switch to Rex. With Rex, you get a dedicated agent and a full-service experience at a fraction of the cost. Rex uses game-changing technology to cut out the middleman and save homeowners tens of thousands of dollars in fees. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. Remember, this is your home. Why give an insane amount of equity away to an agent? Rex offers the lowest fee in the industry without skimping on service. You'll work with an experienced real estate team with you every step of the way. Get the most out of your home. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME.
Florida, CQ 1057788.
Minimum fee may apply. Not licensed in all 50 states. Visit rexhomes.com to see if Rex is available in your area. Rex fully supports the principles of the Fair Housing Act and Equal Opportunity Act.
At Action News Jax, we're here for severe. When storms threaten, put your trust in the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Team, led by Chief Meteorologist Mike Burish. Rated the most accurate for the last 13 years.
The First Alert Weather Team is the only team of certified meteorologists in the Jacksonville area. That means we have the most schooling and training to forecast and predict severe weather. And that experience will keep you safe from a storm.
Action News Jax First Alert Weather on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
We love our pets. Our furry little friends mean so much to us that we want nothing but the best. At Forever Vets Animal Hospital, we feel the same way too. Forever Vets Animal Hospital understands that you have busy schedules. That's why we're open 7 days a week and have extended hours during the work week. In case you have an emergency, remember, stay calm and call Forever Vets Animal Hospital with 6 convenient locations throughout Jacksonville and St. Augustine. Forever Vets Animal Hospital is here for you and your pet. First-time customers receive a free pet exam from one of our highly trained veterinarians. We also offer wellness plans that fit everyone's budget. Forever Vets Animal Hospital makes life easy for you and your pet.
Go to forevervets.com to schedule an appointment. Forever Vets Animal Hospital, keeping your pets healthy and happy forever.
McGowan Medical Centers doesn't only treat auto accident patients, we treat neck and back pain, period. The pain can be caused from a number of different reasons. We also have a new non-surgical center with state-of-the-art equipment that can provide options other than unnecessary spine surgery. And not to mention the #1 weight loss program out there. All this under one roof with one number to call, 350-5544. McGowan's got your back, and now your waistline too, literally.
The Stephen A. Smith Show.
I don't know what would make him think I would care about it. I don't give a damn whether I'm blocked on Instagram or not. Not like I tried to Instagram him directly. Ain't nobody thinking about trying to post something on his page.
The Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Hurt my whole team what I did, and that could come back to bite us. And I don't know what kind of repercussion they'll face, but embarrassing, foolish, and bad representation of who we want to be and what we're trying to do with the rest of the season.
That was Myles Garrett right after the football game. And I'll be honest with you here as we welcome you back to the backyard. Get ready for our game of the week on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Kickoff 7 o'clock. It will be Week 2 of the high school football playoffs, and it's Columbia against Lee. They met earlier this year in our Action Sports Jax game of the week, and Lee won in overtime, 27-21. So we've got a good one coming up a little bit later on. But Brent Martineau here, Coos back in the studio. Austin Lane in Murray, Kentucky. He'll be inducted into the Hall of Fame for Murray State tonight. So congratulations to Austin. So that was the apology last night from Myles Garrett. And I'm going to be honest with you here, folks. Now, players have to talk, and sometimes it's a good look when you do something bad to stay around, talk. Like, think about Myles Jack, right? He got ejected in that opener against Kansas City, and he hung around and he talked about it, and he met with the media. Not all players would do that. Not all teams would require their players to do that. So that was, hey, nice job, Myles. Stick around and at least own up to it. This one, to me, was different. I'm in the media. I want the guys to talk. But I was, like, stunned when I was watching the coverage, and all of a sudden Myles Garrett came up and he was talking, and I was like, oh, my gosh, this is a bad move. He's about to say something stupid, most likely. And to his credit, he didn't really say anything that dumb. He's, some people will interpret like, okay, he didn't sound super remorseful. He did say at one time a win is a win because I think he was asked, does this overshadow the win? Well, sure as hell it overshadows the win, man. I mean, this win is a loss for the Cleveland Browns, no doubt about it. So he was wrong on that. That was about the dumbest thing he said. But he didn't get himself in as much trouble as I thought he was about to. And I said last night, I tweeted, I said, the PR department really, if they're going to allow him to talk there, which, again, I don't think I would have, they probably should have slipped him the opening statement, and it should have said something like this: to the NFL, the Cleveland Browns, my teammates, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Mason Rudolph, I apologize for my actions. And then you can go into it was foolish, it was selfish, it was embarrassing, all that other stuff that he said after that. But I would have started it that way and slipped him that little note, even if he had to read it, because that's the way it should have started. Well, here today, somebody slipped him that, whether it was his agent or someone from the Cleveland Browns PR staff, because he had this afternoon. Last night I made a terrible mistake. I lost my cool, and what I did was selfish and unacceptable. I know that we are all responsible for our actions, and I can only prove my true character through my actions moving forward. I want to apologize to Mason Rudolph, my teammates, our entire organization, our fans, and to the NFL. I know I have to be accountable for what happened, learn from my mistake, and I fully intend to do so. So, listen, that's the best you can do now. I mean, Myles Garrett has to now do all the right things. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, he has to try to come back from this, although there will always be this stain on any kind of legacy he builds. He's a really good football player. Might arguably be the best football player on that side of the ball. He certainly is for the Cleveland Browns. And he was productive this year and has been. But this is a stain on whatever legacy or part of his career happens from here on out. It will always have this little footnote attached to it. Now we'll see if he can do the right thing, behave on the field, all those kind of things to overcome it from here on out. And he'll be given that opportunity, is my assumption. So there was also a comment, Jack Boz, thanks for reminding me. He said in 17 days the Browns and the Steelers play again. And that is true. And what we could expect at that point, I don't even know. But it sparked something that I wanted to talk about because I was watching Myles Garrett leave the field yesterday. And as he was escorted from the field, you got Browns fans. They're in Cleveland. And what I thought to myself is, and this is where the NFL has to think a little bit. The NFL, one, has to think, what if the crown of that helmet had hit Mason Rudolph? Again, take everything else out of it. But instead of the bottom part of the helmet hitting him in the head, which was bad enough, but what if the crown of that helmet or the face mask, well, the face mask he was holding, but a part of that helmet hit him, it knocked him out, made him bleed, all these other things that would have made that scene even worse. They have to think about that. That's part of this in terms of the discipline and the conversation that takes place. I know it didn't happen, but they do have to play the what-if scenario in that regard. Well, it also got me thinking, what if that game was in Pittsburgh? Can you imagine if this was in Pittsburgh and he did that? And how the fans might have reacted, and how that might have incited the fans to react a certain way when Myles Garrett was walking out of there. I think the NFL has to think of that. They probably say, hey, we got a little lucky this was in Cleveland. I mean, they did. That's reality. And this isn't a knock, by the way, on the Pittsburgh fans. I'm not saying they would do all these crazy things, but come on now. I mean, everybody's emotions were running high. We had just seen something that we'd never seen really before. And if you're going to tell me that every fan was going to sit on their hands if that game was in Pittsburgh, well, I'm not going to believe you. So that could have been even worse to the scene if it was in Pittsburgh. So it was just a thought that crossed my mind in this whole Garrett situation. And I think although we see what it is and we say, well, that's not going to happen very often, not going to happen again, the NFL can't think of it like that and think that way. They have to say, holy cats, this was awful, disgusting, can't happen in our game, can't happen on national TV, can't happen in prime time. But what if these scenarios also happened? And how bad this would have been. And that's why we have to lay down the law and police this thing right now and make sure it doesn't happen again. So I just thought of those couple of things, and thanks to Jack Boz for bringing it up because I didn't want to mention that at the very least. I think that's part of the discussion. All right, that's the Myles Garrett conversation. We talked a lot about the Jags. Quick thought on Florida State. Report out of Tallahassee today that Florida State did reach out to Bob Stoops, and it is not happening with Bob Stoops. So he is not interested, not going to happen for Bob Stoops to Florida State. And although there's been all these rumors and talks and everything else, I think it was the Tallahassee Democrat, if I'm not mistaken, about Bob Stoops and saying that that's not going to happen. So now what for Florida State? If that is true, and although there's so many people that say this was close to deal, it looks like it's going to get done with Bob Stoops, and maybe that was the case and something fell through. Nothing has happened, and now with this latest report, it looks like it might not happen. It's a now what situation. We talked about this yesterday on the show. The drop-off from saying, man, Bob Stoops is in play. Bob Stoops to Florida State. Wow, that would be a great hire. Home run, grand slam. To now saying, well, what about Dave Clawson? What about Norvell from Memphis? While those guys might be great and do a great job, the drop-off is so massive that it's like, ugh, really? No Bob Stoops? I thought we had some momentum here. And I think that could certainly be the case with that whole Bob Stoops situation and the Florida State coaching search. They do mention in that article James Franklin as a possible candidate. And I'm still not a big believer in Franklin coming to Florida State from Penn State. But if you think about it a little bit, from a Big Ten situation, what he has to deal with in that side of the Big Ten, in that division, he's got Ohio State and Michigan. I think Michigan State's in there as well. And on this side, you've got right now in the ACC Clemson. And Clemson's a monster, but that's about it. And maybe Florida State is a little bit attractive when it comes to that from a Franklin situation, or from his view, even though he's done a pretty nice job at Penn State. So anyway, that's the latest on the Bob Stoops as I try to find this from the Tallahassee Democrat. Yeah, here it is. And the opening line is, Florida State has been in contact with representatives of former Oklahoma coach Bob Stoops, does not consider him a candidate for its vacant football coach position, according to two sources familiar with the search. And then once again, they mention a couple of guys that could be in play: Mike Norvell from Memphis, James Franklin, Penn State, and Iowa State's Matt Campbell. That article by Jim Henry of the Tallahassee Democrat. So that's the latest on the Florida State situation. We're going to take a quick break. One more break. When we come back, Colin Kaepernick, the Jaguars will be there in Atlanta with some representation. Why? How many other teams are still in the mix? What should we expect from that? And also a thought on something Yulee did today for Derrick Henry, or at least has done this week, and why they should do the same down at Nice for Tim Tebow or in Callahan for Tim Tebow. And I can't believe they haven't yet. It's next on ESPN 690 as we close out a Friday edition of Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
We are having some fun at RV City. Austin just had to go move our vehicles.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, and I probably would have been back a little sooner with Marty here, but unfortunately there was a group of about 15 to 20 middle-aged women feeling the need to do like the Cupid Shuffle right in front of where I was trying to park. I had to get a police escort to literally move these ladies out of the way.
Catch Brett and Austin weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 690 or ESPN690.com.
The holidays are on the horizon. That means family and food. Hey, everybody, I'm Brent Martineau. Let Renna's Pizza help you out. Parties at school, parties at work, celebrations, or maybe you're just tired of cooking yourself. Renna's has you covered with 5 locations in Northeast Florida. Want a fresh one? Renna's makes everything fresh. New York-style pizza, sandwiches, salads, and pasta dishes. Everything fresh. Find out why Renna's has been a family favorite for over 40 years. 5 locations in Northeast Florida: Marsh Landing, Bay Meadows, Argyle Forest, San Jose, and the newest location in Neptune Beach.
What's up, Jacksonville? Angie here, president of Angie Staffing. If you're finding it harder and harder to find the right candidates, or your ads are letting you down, call me, Angie Staffing, 904-703-8880. I have over 20 years of experience right here in Jacksonville. I can help with anything: accounting, finance, legal, even that one position that's impossible to fill. Angie Staffing, 904-703-8880. We're bringing back the hustle.
For families worried about making ends meet, we are here. For those struggling with depression, we are here. We're also here to protect kids in crisis, assist students, and help our seniors. We're Jewish Family and Community Services, and we've been here offering support to people of every age, race, and religion for more than a century. Jewish Family and Community Services, here for all. Here for Jags. Learn more at hereforjags.com.
I just love this time of year, don't you, boss?
Love? Love is not the word I'd use.
Oh, come on, boss. It's the time of year to be thankful. Aren't you thankful the weather's cool enough at least?
Well, I noticed you sweat less, so yeah, I'm thankful.
See?
I'm also thankful that we found a house without Safe Touch security and that the homeowners are out of town soon.
Yeah, that reminds me. That house is out.
What?
Yeah, I saw they had Safe Touch installing a new system just yesterday.
Oh, well, what about that house next door? They didn't have Safe...
Nope. Safe Touch got them too. Guess it was a twofer that day.
You know, I was just starting to get into the thankful spirit until you brought up Safe Touch security.
Sorry, boss. We still have a lot to be thankful for.
I'd be thankful if you truly found me a house without Safe Touch.
I'm on it, boss.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
If only Toyotathon was good on used cars, too, huh? Wait just a minute. It is. Toyotathon is on, even on used, when you shop at Arlington Toyota. With over 400 pre-owned on the lot every day and 60 vehicles priced at under $12,000, you know where you're going to find the ride that's just right. It's at Arlington Toyota. Did you know with every pre-owned purchase at Arlington, you join the club, the Arlington Toyota $5,000 Advantage Club? It's filled with savings, benefits, and rewards to take your Arlington purchase to the next level. Just think about it. When you buy pre-owned from Arlington, you get Toyotathon savings even on used, plus the Arlington Toyota $5,000 Advantage Club.
Club, plus top dollar for your trade, plus same model year cars, trucks, and SUVs. So I gotta ask you, what are you waiting for? It's time to save at Arlington. Toyotathon is on, even on pre-owned when you shop at Arlington Toyota, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Sí, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
You know where you win games, Dan? In the trenches on Sundays.
Appreciate all your thoughts on this matter.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Now, back to Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and in the iHeartRadio app.
This season has been up and down, kind of roller coaster, but all that doesn't matter if we go out here and we start playing good ball. And you really can't just try to hope for a big run. You really have to lose yourself in the moment and worry about today and be the best we can be. I'll tell you, we've had a good week of practice so far. These last couple of days been special, and if we can carry that over to the game and find a way to get this W, it'll be crucial for our season.
Well, they're keeping the faith in Jacksonville with the Jaguars in that locker room, and now they just know how much they need to get a win to really keep it. I need a win. Listen, Doug Marrone needs a win. The Jaguars need a win. The organization needs a win in the standings. I'm not going to lie to you, folks. I need a win, okay? Because we need to stay relevant around here. We need something to look forward to. 5-5 versus 4-6 is a huge difference in how we look at the rest of this season. And I want to take this ride all the way up to the end of the season. I'm not going to tell you that I don't care if they don't make the playoffs. I want the opportunity to make the playoffs so we can talk about it and have a fun December. That's it. Simple. Selfish, yes, but simple. And I'm sure we all feel the same way to some degree. Would you sign up right now for the Jacksonville Jaguars to make the playoffs and lose in the opening round? Yeah. Yes, you would. I think you would. So I would too. I think everybody would. That's probably a stupid question. Give yourself a chance, and if you lost, you lost, but give yourself a chance in the dance. That's all you want. So I actually take it one step further, and I've been saying all week, give me a chance to win a game at home, try to fill up the bank against Indianapolis in a game that means everything in Week 17 of the season. That's really all I'm asking for at this point. Give yourself a chance in a huge game. And I did the numbers, and now I'll have to go back and check it out. But it's been years since the Jaguars, I believe, have played the final game of the season at home. Years. So if they're going to do that, let's make it mean something. And I think I'm right on that. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's been a few years, and not very often in like the last 10 or 12 years, that they've ended the season at home. And very few times in franchise history they actually started the season at home and ended the season at home, if I remember that conversation when the schedule came out. All right, we don't have much more time on the show. I do want to get to the Colin Kaepernick situation. Well, it's not a situation. It's a workout coming up tomorrow in Atlanta. Adam Schefter now says 24 teams are going to be there. I can tell you this, and I tweeted it yesterday when they said about 11 or 13 teams were committed to be there. And on that list, I didn't see the Jaguars, but I could tell you yesterday and last night when I tweeted it, and I can tell you today, the Jaguars will be there in some capacity. Who exactly is going to be there, don't know, but I can tell you they will be there. And some of that's due diligence, right? I think every NFL team needs to be there. The way this situation is, they need to be there. Are the Jaguars seriously looking at Colin Kaepernick to come in here and be a quarterback? Well, they have two quarterbacks. Absolutely not. Of course they're not doing that. But they need to be a part of whatever this is tomorrow in some way, shape, or form. And if people are going to invite you to watch a quarterback and a guy that we haven't seen play in 3 years from a football-only standpoint, well, then you're dumb if you're not there, quite frankly. It doesn't take much to get to Atlanta and send a scout or send anyone you need to send and see what Colin Kaepernick looks like, even though they are going to send video and all that other stuff to make it available to the team. So, the Jags will be there, and I think they are there just for due diligence, and that's it. But I don't necessarily think that's a Kaepernick part of it. I think if they were trying out any person tomorrow, although this is pretty unique to Kaepernick, that they would go because that's what you do. You go check it out from a due diligence standpoint. But that's what it is for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They already have 3 quarterbacks on their roster. They've got Foles, who they paid $88 million for. They've got Minshew, who they drafted 6th in the 6th round. And then they have Joshua Dobbs, who they traded the 5th-round pick for. They're highly invested right now in the quarterback position. As for Kaepernick and what to expect from it, there's been a lot of talk this week about how this is kind of a sideshow. Is this real? Is it legit? Is the NFL just trying to do something to make it look like they're taking care of Kaepernick to a degree, even though there's a lot of people that think they haven't handled this very well with the surprise notice of it, the short notice of it. I read some more things today about how they're not sending receivers down. He's going to find his own receivers. They're not flying them in, all these things. So it's a weird look, the whole thing that's going on here, why it's on a Saturday and not a Tuesday. But I'll go back to what we talked about earlier this week when this came out. I think if you're Colin Kaepernick, take everything else away. And if you really want to play football and you want to show GMs and scouts and coaches that you can still play football, this is an opportunity. And whether it's the right way to do it, whether it's way overdue, all those things we can argue. At least it's an opportunity to play the game and to get a chance to get back in the game. And there's a lot of wrongs that have been involved in this whole situation, in my opinion. But where we are for tomorrow is maybe he can look good, impress some teams, impress one person, and get on a roster this year, next year, whatever it might be, in the NFL and back in the NFL. And if that's really what he's looking to try to do because he loves playing the game and wants to play the game, hopefully he does it. That's where I stand on the Colin Kaepernick situation, and we'll see how it shakes out. I'll be interested to see how much we hear about this tomorrow, what happens with the Colin Kaepernick workout, because it's not like this is a media event. So how much will be controlled messaging, and how much will we be privy to from a workout standpoint, even from a reactionary standpoint? I don't think every team's going to hold a news conference and say, here's how he looked. That just isn't the way it's going down. One last thought to finish up the show. I saw this, and Aber Kriska from CBS 47 and Fox 30 tweeted it out. Yulee has honored Derrick Henry, and they put a sign up, and they said, home of the 2015 Heisman Trophy winner, Yulee. That is awesome. That's what you need to do. Glad you did it. Awesome that you did it. And congrats to Derrick Henry for that honor. He should be recognized. People should always know that. Anytime you go to Yulee, you should know that Derrick Henry played his football there and is from there. I think the same thing should happen to Tim Tebow. I know he's homeschooled. He's from Callahan. All this stuff. If I'm Nice High School, I say this all the time. How can on US 1 they not have a billboard right outside where you take that left if you're going south, right onto campus? I think it's Ray Road. How can they not have a billboard that said Tim Tebow went here? Why wouldn't you brag about that? They've got this small little sign on their scoreboard that says number 5. That's it. You have to recognize that more. You brag about it a little bit more. And if I was in Callahan, I'd probably say, give me a sign that says Tim Tebow's from here. I mean, you should recognize that. Well, you have some great athletes from your area. Guys, the name power of Tim Tebow and Derrick Henry, recognize it. Certainly do so. Hey, we are at the backyard, Lee High School, and that's going to do it for a week on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching, because you may have just been a part of a little history. We might have just had our 1 millionth view on social media here on this show today. We'll talk more about that on Monday. Coming up at 7 o'clock, we will have the call of the game. Columbia against Lee. Kevin Sullivan will join me. It's our Action Sports Jax Game of the Week on ESPN 690. We'll see you in about 45 minutes, or at least talk to you in about 45 minutes, audio only, for that call on our Action Sports Jax Game of the Week on ESPN 690. Nice job, Coos, all week long, and have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks for listening to the show. Trust, tradition, and quality. A winning combination to feel good about your home. Sometimes it's just that time to replace your roof, or maybe you need to fix your roof after a recent storm.